bit more reasonable now from what we expected. 9-2 on the board, and certainly has plenty of credentials coming in to be a main player.
2 minutes to post in our Friday feature. Once you're signed up and started with Naira Bets, take advantage of track stats and hopefully bet smarter and win bigger. We all try and do that. Weekly Aqueduct track trends, stats, and betting insights, all available on the website. Again, NairaBets.com. 2 minutes to post in the feature. Let's go back down to Mig.
Yeah, guys, and it's interesting when you look at horses from a physical perspective. You're trying to match up what you see on paper, and this race is pretty straightforward. The 5-horse Caldwell Loves Gold makes a lot of sense on paper. Obviously, she's your favorite. Looks terrific. She's already been very good on fast dirt tracks, 3 for 6 with two-thirds as well, and looks terrific. A filly carries good weight, really a solid daughter of Golden Sense. The 6, she's a Tempest. Looks terrific. I think the pace was maybe a bit too sharp for her last time. She got rushed off her feet a bit. Also settling in better this time. Last time coming off a layoff, a lot of nervous energy. They ship over from Belmont Park. As no horses are stabled here at Aqueduct Training, they ship in, they get in the receiving barn. Today, a lot more settled, adding blinkers, although she did compete with blinkers on 2 back in the Santa Isabel. And she looks great. Really could not falter at all. But the horse that really struck me was the 7, Striker Has Dial, no pun intended. Loved the way she warmed up, liked her in the paddock, loved her more on the track. Great animation to her stride, and she's very well drawn outside, so she has a lot of natural speed, but gives her the opportunity to get into the race the right way without having to be forced into the race. And she's checking the boxes for me. You put the line through the 2 turf races, and her form looks considerably better. So I think it's one of those cases where a horse's form is just a bit dirtied up with, okay efforts on the turf, but I think her dirt races were better.
Yeah, and the company she's kept has been better than really most in here as well. This is back August 3rd, the summer, Saratoga. It's a muddy sealed track going 7/8 of a mile. Tried to do it on the front end the entire way.
She did, and she's a fighter too. Once she has that forward position established, she's very game. She doesn't like to let another horse go by her. That has been the case where some have gotten the better of her in those dirt starts since breaking her maiden, but she is one that she can put up a good battle. She has experience going a little bit further and being able to sustain that speed. I really like the 7 furlongs for her. She will have to deal with some other speed in this spot, and that could set things up for Caldwell Loves Gold, but just based on who she's faced and the kind of numbers she has run earlier on in her career, she's a main player in this spot, and I ultimately ended up picking her as well.
And I know she didn't win with it that way, but we have seen her run effectively sitting off the early pace too. So that outside post could be very beneficial.
Absolutely. I think that she could get a nice stalking trip, see what Save Us Melania does towards the inside. They could make decisions whether or not they want to be aggressive with her and have her go right to the lead, or perhaps sit just off of that one. I really like a lot of things going for this horse, and she does continue to steadily drop in price as well.
There's a huge long shot. My Girl Jow, off since June. Favorite continues to be Caldwell Loves Gold, though. Brad Coxbar, Manny Franco with the 5. New York Oaks winner, couple starts back. Had to face really tough field in that Fleet Indian at Saratoga, and the talented Landed filly for Wesley Ward. Dolomite for Chad Brown. That was a tough group, and this is not probably going to be as tough a group that may have been.
She's just been so incredibly versatile. She's been able to go long on dirt, go long on turf, whether she's been sprinting on turf or sprinting on dirt. She's just a really hard-knocking type of horse for the Cox Barn as a 3-year-old that's already tried so much and been successful in a variety of circumstances. But we already know that she's proven and capable as being an effective closing sprinter on the dirt.
Here we go. Friday feature. It is Caldwell Loves Gold for trainer Brad Cox with Manny Franco, multiple stakes winner, looking to add a 4th win here in 13 starts. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Striker Has Dial goes in. All set. And they're off. Getting steadied at the start there was My Girl Jow, and also shuffled back was Caldwell Loves Gold. Reliable Lady right out to the front, and Reliable Lady is now ahead in front of She's a Tempest, who challenges for that early lead. Just off of them comes Striker Has Dial, and behind horses, that's Save Us Melania. At the back end of that leading group is Awesome Check, and from the back, Caldwell Loves Gold. Second to last, and the trailer, My Girl Jow. Pretty tightly packed as they work up the backstretch. They went 23.33 for the opening quarter mile. Reliable Lady is in front. Right to her outside as she's a Tempest, ready to challenge. They're still head and head. Save Us Melania is in between horses, is now in fourth. Gets passed to the outside by Striker Has Dial, who will get the first run. 23.33 was that opening quarter mile. There are 3 across the racetrack now. And towards the inside, still Reliable Lady is in front. She's a Tempest ready to challenge through a 46 and 4 half-mile time. 3 wide, here's the run from Striker Has Dial. 4 wide is going to be Caldwell Loves Gold. In behind horses, waiting for room. That Save Us Melania has run, but nowhere to go as they reach the top of the stretch, and Striker Has Dial has taken the lead. Striker Has Dial and Kendra Carmouche are in front. Save Us Melania is weaving in between rivals, is down towards the inside with a lot of momentum. Same can be said for Caldwell Loves Gold down the center of the racetrack. Now 3 across the racetrack. Caldwell Loves Gold to the outside of Striker Has Dial, who tries to come right back to the inside, but it's Caldwell Loves Gold. Manny Franco gets the score over Striker Has Dial. Save Us Melania finished third. An awesome check. In 1 minute 23.32 seconds.
The 2-time stakes winner adds another class prevails. It's Caldwell Loves Gold. Brad Cox with Manny Franco.
And actually made kind of an early wide move to get her into contention because the pace was not that quick in this race with a lot of horses that had shown speed in the past, some different tactics for a couple today, especially Save Us Melania, who did run well with a new dimension sitting behind horses and trying to get that split. So Manny Franco was able to adapt effectively and go by Striker Has Dial, who's the one who made the first move after a moderate pace.
Kendra Carmouche down on the inside on that 7, inside of the 5 anyway. Trying to get that 4th win on the day, but not in this Friday feature. It goes to Caldwell Loves Gold. She was best. And another turf experiment the last couple of tries, but certainly dirt is where she's been most effective.
She can really do anything, but we already knew that she had been successful doing what she was being asked to do today. Manny Franco able to adapt well to how the race was playing out ahead of him, time that ride well to go by the very game Striker Has Dial, who has another in the money finish on the dirt, but she's the one that had the proven class, and she's able to win as your 7-5 favorite.
It was an unusually strong first level allowance race, wasn't it?
This is a stakes level field, and many of these have been stakes types in the past or running against stakes level horses. So really tough type of race for the level for sure.
5, 7, 1, 4. It's Caldwell Loves Gold. Picking up her 4th career victory. Manny Franco for Brad Cox. Well, the prices from this one when we come back. Wins at 7-5, 2-win day for Manny Franco. We'll be back. Back with you on our Friday coverage here on America's Day at the Races. Caldwell Loves Gold, former multiple stakes winner against New York Bred Company. With Manny Franco, 2-win day for him, able to beat Open Company in this first level allowance race.
She's just so cool. She's been proven doing a variety of different things, going long, turf, dirt, against open, against state breds. I mean, she was the class of this field, and she prevailed with a well-timed ride.
With the winning rider, let's go downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. And Manny Caldwell Loves Gold, a horse that you know well. But she's a filly. You got to ride. You really got to stay after her.
Yeah, like you say, I gotta be, aggressive with her because she's kind of lazy. But I think that he was a good pace in front of me for 7 furlongs, so I just ride in the way she liked to be ride, so I just take my time. And I was outside the whole way, so I take advantage of that too, and just was coming little by little, and she responded really well for me.
It looked like when she hit the front, did she idle a little, or did the 7 Striker Has a Dial kind of fight back? Because it looked like you were going to just go right by her.
I think the 7 horse fight back a little bit. I was a little bit worried because when I pass, I don't go away like I thought I gonna be, like I thought she gonna do. But like I gotta give credit to the 7 horse because she fight back.
Manny, another great year. You consistently been putting together terrific years, over 200 wins now. How do you just, to me, you're a rider that shows up every day. How do you stay so motivated 365 days a year?
I mean, this is this is what I love to do. Like I said, I love my job, and that's what every morning I love to get up and see what I have. If I have to work horses, go work horses. I like to do my homework too at home. So I think it's that I'm a competitive guy, and I want to win races. So.
And the cold doesn't bother you, it doesn't seem.
Not really. I'm used to it right now, so I'm good.
Keep up the good work. Great job. And guys, when you love your job, you don't really work a day in your life because you're doing something you enjoy.
And we know that's how Mig felt every single day of his life. It is tough. I mean, just to not forget the physical part of it, which is even more difficult, probably the mental aspect of it. Just getting no break. There's no gone fishing segment on this show where these guys get a break.
No, I mean, this is continuous all year round, and you have to show up each and every single day to be effective and to really keep yourself known in the minds of trainers and connections, and making sure that you have that momentum moving forwards, because as Mig likes to say, it's always warm in the winner's circle, but it's getting cold this time of year, and you really got to get up every day and want to still be riding at the same level.
2-win day. Manny Franco won the second earlier today on Principe Doro. For Gustavo Rodriguez, takes this one with Caldwell Loves Gold. We already have a price in the cross country, courtesy of both Sarah and Paul, with that 5th at Oaklawn, Helen's Revenge. So 2 legs to go with a $37,700 pool, just shy of $37,800. And with that one number in there, could be fairly lucrative as we get back to Oaklawn. Race 6 post parade coming up, mile and a 16th. Allowance optional claiming field, 3-year-olds and up, and we start with Fletch fans here, Underhill's Tab.
Yeah, this one has some back class certainly coming into this spot, and is a big price right now at 8-1, but this is a contentious field.
3-1, Creative Minister.
Horse that once ran in the Preakness and was thought of as being one of the hot and up-and-coming 3-year-olds. Hasn't quite panned out, but still has plenty of good races.
Kenny McPeak with Manny Esquivel on the 2. Painter's Canvas, big number for Michael Lauer.
Would be a surprise in this spot. Did win his last start, but this is a bit of a class test.
Machine Gun Man, off since early September, has speed.
Facing some good ones in the past performances. Saudi Crown, Silver Prospector certainly has some class coming in, but would need to take a step forward.
Big player. Here's the favorite. This is MacMan, 2-time winner Matt Shire.
Deserving favorite coming in. 2 seconds starts, 2 and 3 back. Some of the best numbers coming into this field.
Looked apart, too. Here's Lucky Boss, off since June at Hawthorne.
Off of freshening, would need to get back to some of his best races to compete.
Full Screen has been running a lot of big races as well. It's a 4-time winner.
Not effective at the 7 furlong distance last time out at Churchill Downs, but we saw this horse really come to hand at Saratoga this summer.
Face Subrogate, Blazing Sevens, Whitney winner Arthur's Ride. That's some serious competition. And then Di Vernon on the outside, 4-1. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
A horse that's run against Next in some of his starts, might prefer a little bit more distance in here, but is coming 3rd off of a layoff.
That is a built horse right there. Son of good magic, 4-1 on the outside. 4 minutes away from this 6. Paulie, it's MacMan right now, the 2-1 favorite.
And I think he's deservedly the 2-1 favorite, Greg, coming out of those races at Churchill Downs. And it seems like those horses from Churchill Downs have been, running well over the surface. And recent racing has helped too. So I can see why the public is going with the 5. That's where I'm going to land. But we'll start with the 2, the old conundrum of creative minister. 0 for 11 the last 2 years, 0 for 3 over this racetrack, 2 for 20 lifetime. But his numbers are right there. Now, he's been behind MacMan in his last 2 starts that they faced each other, one at Churchill Downs and one at Keeneland. And, he's just tough to endorse at 3-1, especially on the win end in here. But obviously, he's a major player when it comes to numbers-wise. Now, the 7 full screen, you guys were mentioning, Mark Casse hadn't had this horse go around 2 turns since last year, basically almost to this date, December 15th, 2 days, I guess, December 15th of 2023. And then after that race, he gave the horse a little bit of a freshening, and he's only gone around 1 turn since. So I'm a little bit worried about the 7, and I think that's what the public's thinking, that maybe 2 turns is not his thing, although he ran some decent races doing that. So I wouldn't dismiss him. If you like him a little bit, you're getting a good price at 9-2. The outside horse from Norm Casse, I think, is going to run a lot better today. Obviously, that getting the 12 hole at Churchill Downs, not the best thing you can get going a mile and an eighth, but probably will run a little bit better. But like I said, Greg, I'm going to land on MacMan. He's very, very versatile. He's a horse that's coming off 3 nice races. He's got recent racing, coming out of a mile and eighth race. I know I'm not giving you much at 2-1. I just think he's going to be really tough, and I thought he looked well in the post parade.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I thought he looked great warming up. He really looks the part, deserves to be favored at 2-1. Father-son, as you heard, full screen for Mark Casse, son Norm, with Divernon on the outside with a 7 and 8.
And Mark Casse bringing horses to this Oaklawn meet, not something that we've typically seen from him as of late. So a new face for this meet, all meet long, has a couple later on in the card that should be competitive as well. And looking at full screen, he doesn't have as many opportunities going the mile in a 16th as some of the others do in the spot, but he can certainly handle up to the mile at least. And he was running some big races at Saratoga over the summer. We're taking a look at a race in July where he ran a 94 Beyer speed figure over Federal Judge, who came back to win a graded stakes race at Keeneland and then ran in the Breeders' Cup. So when he's at the top of his game, he's just as good, if not a little bit better, than your current favorite MacMan. Just a question of whether or not we're going to see one of his best races coming in.
And are we going to get it at a mile and a 16th? But yeah, we talked about Arthur's Ride, Whitney Winner, Subrogate. He's faced Blazing Sevens, who was
Mulligan
right there in the Preakness the other year. Yeah, Castle Chaos, who's a big-time performer. Just horse after horse, he's right there. But again, question mark, distance, can he get it? We'll find out. But that was a big effort at Saratoga. But MacMan, more the proven commodity going this distance anyway.
Right, and he's cutting back slightly from a mile and an eighth where he didn't quite get that distance, but he was forward in that spot and had a right to get a little bit tired. If you go back 2 starts ago, he's finishing second to Surface to Air over Creative Minister, who was running late. Then it had a big price. He's finishing second, 3 back at 55-1. You're not getting that kind of price on him today.
Meanwhile, Creative Minister, you talked about the high expectations for this one at 1 point for Kenny McPeak. What do you think we'll get from him today?
Well, he is a horse that will benefit from a little bit of pace in front of him, and that's something that we could see materialize in this spot.
There he is, the grade 2, or the 2, I should say.
He has run well at Oaklawn in the past. He ran a good race when finishing second, 92 Beyer speed figure over OP Firecracker. If you go back to earlier this year at Oaklawn, so you know that he likes the track. And this is a surface that I think plays well for his running style, where you have that longer stretch usually, and he can sort of get into that good momentum, get his run started, and he should get some pace to run after in this spot, though he hasn't won in quite some time.
A little intrigue, too, for Underhill's tab. That race probably a little bit shorter than what he might want coming back off the bench. Tough one to come back at 7 furlongs. and a horse who has at least enough tactical speed to be close early.
And he had a big race before trying that stakes race over the synthetic at Presque Isle. He had a 92 Beyer speed figure, finishing third behind Record Point. Can't Hush This, who's a very consistent type over at Ellis Park. So he's another one that he doesn't have as many opportunities going the mile in the 16th. He's only tried it once, but he's certainly shown that if he can get back to some of his bigger races, he is one that is in the mix with some of these others. He's being a little bit overlooked in the wagering relative to those.
And Creative Minister, look, 2 starts ago for MacMan. Creative Minister, he was right there. He fought with that horse going a mile on the 16th. See what we get from him for McPeak with Manny Esquivel. But it is MacMan, the 5, the 1 to beat. For the Matt Shire barn, we're set for the 6. Start of the late pick 5. Here's Matt Dinnerman.
Vernon coming up. We're ready to go. And they're off. Awkward break from Painter's Canvas, who got squeezed coming out of there as well. Underhill's Tab from the inside, offensive-minded. Machine Gun Man strides level with him to take a short lead. And MacMan in the pink jacket, 3 deep on the course as they corner. Machine Gun Man getting to the fence, clears off and leads the way by a length. MacMan is second. Underhill's Tab third, tucked in on the inside. A length back to Full Screen Racing alone fourth. A length and a half to the great Creative Minister with Lucky Boss. Painter's Canvas at the back of the field with Di Vernon as the 8 runners approach the backstretch run. 6 lengths from first to last, and Machine Gun Man leads the way under Julian Leperoux. A half length in front of MacMan on the outside, who's pressing the issue. Underhill's Tab goes well in third, and so does Full Screen alongside of him. 2 lengths back to Creative Minister. A little bit keen here on a hold, taking the 5th spot clearly away from Lucky Boss, who's shown more rain with a half mile to go, and a length and a half to Di Vernon. Painter's Canvas, the 2 long shots as they go into the far turn. Machine Gun Man into the turn, 3/4 of a length ahead. MacMan still in chase mode second. Underhill's Tab nickel along, loses third clearly to Full Screen, who's moving up nicely. Full Screen in the 3 path, making a nice bit as they round the far turn. Creative Minister tips outside of Underhill's Tab, who loses a few lengths now, still in fourth with Creative Minister, who joins him. The others are well behind as they come to the top of the lane. Full Screen ready to pounce. Full Screen takes command here, kicks by MacMan. Machine Gun Man back in third and losing position with a furlong to go. Full Screen has the lead. Full Screen a length in front. MacMan trying ever so hard on the inside, fighting second, but Full Screen has the edge coming to the finish. And Full Screen and Ramon Vasquez score by a length and a tail. MacMan's second, Creative Minister was third, Underhill's Tab fourth.
Full Screen we saw in that impressive Saratoga performance this summer. For Mark Cassie, Ramon Vasquez for the win here in the 6th.
And he's had a great trip, sitting in that stalking position behind MacMan, as well as another horse that wanted to be forwardly placed in this spot. MacMan really valiant in defeat, fighting all the way to the wire. It looked like he might come back on him at one point, but Full Screen, he just got the right kind of setup in here, keeping in the clear, sitting in a good stalking position. He got the distance today, and I have 1 leg to go in this cross-country pick 5. Very excited.
All right, let's finish. Great spot to be on this racetrack. We see that winning move so often come from the middle of the track down the stretch. It's Full Screen, 5th career win. Mark Cassie, Ramon Vasquez, and back to New York. Nightcap still to come. 7 furlongs. We'll close it out with a New York bred $40,000 maiden claiming race, all for sale for that price. And this might be the one to catch this filly on the front end. We'll see if she can last gate to wire. Weakened late to second in her most recent outing for Rudy Rodriguez.
Idiomatic in front, 16th to go in the Juddmonte colors. Florent Giroux aboard. Idiomatic to win the Grade 1 Juddmonte Spinster.
Idiomatic is taking the lead. Clippier trying to squeeze through, but it's going to be Idiomatic to win.
And Idiomatic just opens back up here with every stride. No catching. Idiomatic winning the Juddmonte Spinster for Florent Giroux.
Curlin, the classic sire.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NyraBets. Open your NyraBets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NyraBets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
Glad to have you with us on our Friday coverage. You're watching America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Feature in the books. It's Caldwell Loves Gold with a win. And now it's time for our finale and our Spencer Farm 2-year-old race of the day. That's home of North America's 5-time reigning champion, General Sire, Into Mischief. 7 furlongs, all for sale in this field for $40,000. New York breds. And we showed you going to break. Frankie Hiccups, that's the 4, and the one who's probably going to be out in front early there in the background, current favorite.
Yeah, did run well at a big price to finish second in that last start for this one. And I mean, a 52 buyer speed figure makes this horse very competitive in this spot. Taking a look back on the start of Halloween, forward position, speed generally at a premium in these types of races. And there just is not a lot of form to go on for these 2-year-olds.
Really isn't. And now we'll see, this was going 6.5, weakened late. Now it's going to try and get 7. And, you know, 2 similar efforts on fast tracks, which is what this one's going to get today. The one real bad performance came after the debut, and that was a wet track, so maybe we put a line through that. But that kind of effort today, obviously, if she doesn't get pressured, looks like a very likely winner.
Yeah, I agree completely. You do have a couple horses that are dropping in class, perhaps first-time starters, but as far as proven form, what little of it there is, she is the one to beat.
So one more chance to get number 4 today for Kendrick Carmouche here on Honey in the Bank.
A horse that did run third first time out, stepped up in class, and now drops back down.
First time starter for Rudy Rodriguez. This is Professor Grace.
This horse actually has quite a bit of pedigree, a half to Smokin' Hot Kitty.
Frankie Hiccups, the speedster who ran second last start.
Based on form that we have seen so far, the one to beat and has the fastest race coming in.
Stablemate to that first timer next door of the 3. Here's Backwater for George Weaver, second time out.
This horse is coming out of a live race. We saw the winner come back, step up and run well, and the second place finisher step up and finish second yet again.
Melanie Giddings, first time starter, broken zipper.
The dam went 0 for 6, is half to a turf winner in Bossy Jeans.
Debuted long on grass for Christophe Clement. Here's Pocket Queens.
And the dam has a really turf pedigree. Christophe Clement trained both the sire and the dam a half to 3 winners.
Here's Endless Val for Horacio de Paz.
Maiden special weight 2, maiden claiming for start number 4, was second first out.
Toxic Girl with Jose Lescano at 12-1.
Big prices for those first 2 starts. Sloppy sealed track last time out and was third at 46-1.
And Mischievous Trick, big price outside, rounds out the field.
Does come out of the same race as Toxic Girl, first time in for a tag on a fast main track.
2 minutes to post in this finale. That man right there, Romero Mirage, showing us all of his athleticism unexpectedly in the stretch on Mama's Gold. Mama's Gold running another huge performance, beating Donegal Surges again, but we did not expect this. Neither did Romero, having to hang on as the horse jumps. Looks like a piece of debris out on the racetrack. This race basically wrapped up, but you always have to be at full alert.
Never know what's going to happen out on the racetrack, and you have to stay one with your horse crossing the wire. As you can see, a little bit of a jump there, a bobble in Romero. He had both feet over one side of the saddle, rights himself, and hangs on for the victory as we get a close-up look of it here. Mama's Gold had seen it, made a half jump there. Romero had to fix his position and almost ended up costing him and Mama's Gold the official win in the race, but he was able to really hold on athletic position with himself and getting himself righted to be able to keep his horse going in a straight line and fix things after that little bit of a hiccup.
Let's go to Meg. Meg, it looked like that left foot came out of the stirrups. Scary situation. What's going through your mind at that point?
Just trying to stay in the middle. You don't want to hit the ground, particularly in front of the entire field. And you've got the race won. And this horse, he spotted that spot on the racetrack a long ways out. You could see his ears went forward. And as he got to it, then he took that kind of awkward step, half a jump, half a step over what actually turned out to be a urine spot on the racetrack. One of the ponies leading horses to the gate. Nature called and did what they did and left a little puddle there. And this horse really stepped over it. Romero did some job just regaining his balance and staying in the middle. I told him no more trick riding, though. I don't think he's going to make it in the Wild West show. He's got a real live mount here, too. Frankie Hiccups, just making a really nice impression. He's got speed. I think speed is always a good commodity to have, particularly in lower level or maiden claiming races, if you will. Obviously, your favorite, no negatives there. The 7-horse Pocket Queens tried turf first time. Definitely see more of a turf foot and those longer, slacker patterns that Maggie likes to talk about, and definitely correlates with more of a turf horse. But she's very well turned out. Looks terrific in the flesh. And that brings me to the one, Honey in the Bank. This is going to be my top selection. Love the way she looked in the paddock. Love the warm-up she got from Kendrick Carmouche. And I think she just got caught in a tough race, chasing a very fast pace last time in the mud. She gets, a little class relief, and she did show good speed first time chasing a hot pace. So I just think the drop back down in class, and 8-1, I think, is a generous price for a horse that at least has shown some ability, and certainly speed on the dirt.
She finished ahead of 8 rivals first time out in the debut, so got a productive education there. As we see the 6th there, Broken Zipper, Dylan Davis, one of a couple of first-time starters in this field for Melanie Giddens, who will not compete this afternoon. You see the saddle towel off there with this 6, who is 14-1 on the board. We'll go back to the barn.
Yeah, not going to play today. We'll have to wait for this one to make the debut and not able to get into the body of this race. And so they'll just make a quick adjustment here. But a long shot at the time of the scratch. I'm with Mig, though, on the number 1, Honey in the Bank. I think this horse is very intriguing because the first start was very good after hitting the gate for Horacio de Paz. Then they thought enough of this one to step up to the maiden special weight level against a horse that we will see in that New York Stallion Series Stakes tomorrow, Princess Mischief. So we'll see the winner of her first race in there as well, Diza Rock, who had some good speed. I just like that the connections thought enough of this one to try a tougher level, and now is getting back to the maiden claiming ranks, and did catch a sloppy seal track last time out as well. Maybe did not prefer that off going.
There's Kendrick. So he's on Honey in the Bank, 7-1. Again, another chance for number 4 today. As you see that 6 off the board. The 9 in here, Endless Vow, first out effort, ran pretty good against better company, and then sort of went backwards the next couple of starts with some trouble in each of those races. Is that one a player with a clean trip?
I think so, based on that first race. Now, this horse has not been as quick in those starts 2 and 3 back, as you mentioned. Perhaps part of that is warranting the drop in class, but that first race was so promising for the level that you have to think that there's some ability to be competitive at this level in there somewhere.
We'll see if Romero Mirage on Frankie Hiccups, the favorite, tries to control from the outset on this speedster. It's our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
All set. And they're off. Off a step slow and then steadied. That was Professor Grace. Speed from Backwater, in between horses at the rail. There's Honey in the Bank, and they're the top 2. Out wider, Mischievous Trick is trying to keep up, is now a stalking 3rd, is to the outside of Pocket Queens, who's now moved in between rivals, is now challenging for that 3rd spot, and that's going to push Mischievous Trick back to 4th. Just in behind them, another group, that's Endless Vow. Lost some ground there to Frankie Hiccups, who's progressing nicely. Professor Grace from the back end of the field, after breaking slowly, is now rushed up, is taken 4th, and the trailer, Toxic Girl. 4 furlongs left to go, 23. and 1 for the opening quarter mile, and Backwater's in front. It's Backwater with Pocket Queens. Now looming to the outside here for Eric Cancel, is traveling nicely enough from second. All in is Honey in the Bank is now a challenging third. Dropping back is going to be Professor Grace. After making that move, is just stalling a touch, is in fourth and ridden along. Endless Vow is towards the outside. Mischievous Trick is trying to run on with Toxic Girl and the Triller. Frankie Hiccups. They reach the top of the stretch, 46 and 4, the half mile time, and Backwater now sprints for home, and Backwater is doing it nicely. It's Backwater who's back up by 3. Continue to chase there is Pocket Queens from second. Down at the rail, that's Professor Grace is a challenging third, Honey in the Bank, but no doubt here, Backwater is just striding away inside the final 16th. It's going to be Backwater. Give Manny Franco another one. Backwater wins this one easily. Backwater wins it over Pocket Queens, Endless Vow, and Professor Grace in 1 minute 24 and 4.
Backwater early on looked good for her. She was close in the mix early on. And runs big in start number 2, George Weaver, 3-win day, Manny Franco.
Yeah, Manny Franco able to really get the momentum going over the latter half of this card, especially taking the late double. And he had to feel pretty confident at the top of the stretch here where he's in front pretty clearly and has been able to put away the other horse that was pressing him in Pocket Queens and kick away smartly. And this horse was coming out of a live race. Vihamente, who won, was dropping in class in that start. The second place finisher in that race, Tower 22, came back against maiden special weight rivals at a big price, finishing second yet again. And this one had finished fourth in that start. So certainly a live field this one was coming out of, and horses that had been able to step up successfully in class following that effort too.
5-7, 9-3, 6-1 ending to this Friday card here at Aqueduct as we close things out with Backwater in our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Again, 3 wins for Manny Franco today. George Weaver, second-time starter, with the win at 6-1 to close things out.
This was impressive. Switching back to that inside lead late in the game in here, maybe just getting a little bit tired as things progressed, but certainly was able to kick away impressively from this field. Long way back to Pocket Queens, and Endless Vow made a bit of a run of it from the back. Professor Grace as well from the inside there, but Manny Franco able to close out the card and seems to be one that is obviously one of the top riders to watch going into the rest of this winter meet right here at Aqueduct.
Pretty productive pick 5 too with that result in the finale. We'll get you back to Hot Springs when we come back. That is the one to beat on the board right now. That's Sandman for Mark Casse, who looks to go back-to-back. At Oaklawn, we saw impressive in a win at Saratoga and graded stakes place in his most recent start. Back with you on America's Day at the Races, and if you make it out to Hot Springs, gotta try and squeeze in a trip to DeLuca's after the races.
I mean, I gotta stop putting this in the show for the time when I'm most hungry and really want a piece of that pizza because it always looks so amazing. I haven't been yet myself, but I hear nothing but good things.
A lot of people want to go there primarily for the racetrack. I want to go for DeLuca's.
Yeah. Yeah, that's enough.
And then I'll take in some racing
We
too.
might see a couple of races, but I would be okay with just a good pizza trip.
Indeed. We got the 7th coming up next. 2-turn mile in this allowance optional claiming field. Look, I know Sandman's graded stakes place last time. He's a serious rival in calling card here.
Yeah, that horse is actually your favorite in the cross-country pick 5. We'll get to that one in a moment.
All right, we start with Big Much. One first time out, Norm Cassie.
Big effort in that debut, 72 Beyer speed figure at 17-1, so didn't get bet, but was able to run very well, showing some good speed.
Here's the favorite. So Sandman coming off a 3rd in the Grade 3 Street Sense at Churchill.
Mark Cassidy looking to go back-to-back, a horse that really ran well up at Saratoga and then had a good graded stakes effort.
Here's calling card. Huge figure in a dominant win to break his maiden in his dirt debut.
That was his first race over the surface at a mile for Mike Maker, and 87 Beyer speed figure as the favorite.
Global legend at a big price next door, Mark Cassie.
The other, Mark Cassie, would have to get quite a bit faster, but does have some good experience, especially going longer.
Another price next door, an extradition for Steve Asmussen with Son Keith.
Not the prices you generally see for these connections. One over a sloppy sealed track 2 starts ago.
Thought we could maybe see improvement from Big Boat, who's put together back-to-back, good efforts, including that Breeders' Futurity, ready to go against East Avenue.
That was a troubled trip for that one as well. He got a little class relief as the favorite last time and finished 3rd.
Bout Tree Fitty, almost 30-1.
And would be a big price in this spot. Has to get significantly faster.
Here's McDude for John Ortiz.
I don't think this one is impossible. Took a step forward from start 1 to start 2 and didn't break all that well in that last start.
And a debut winner, Colonial, and then first time against winners on a muddy track sprinting will stretch out for the first time.
And could take a step forward, a horse that we haven't seen since the end of August.
And instant replay for Brad Cox. Another interesting horse here, 7-1 on a Brad Cox horse who just won impressively at Churchill Downs last start.
Horse that was favored in his last 2 races and really showed that he could rate professionally and win by a big margin in that last start.
All right, we'll get back to that. 4 minutes away from the 7th at Oaklawn. Close out the card in New York with the 3-win day for that man, Manny Franco. Backwater for George Weaver wins 2nd time out.
I'm curious to see where this one is spotted next because Backwater was coming out of a field that was able to step up in class, a couple of them, the 1st and 2nd place finishers, and still be competitive. So maybe Backwater a little bit better than she seems on paper from this effort, as well as the one first time out. Maybe could take a crack at some non-claiming races moving forwards because this was a decisive margin of victory for a horse that showed some good speed here under Manny Franco to get the victory.
Yeah, easily down the stretch. And start number 2 at 6-1 in our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. 5, 7, 9, 3. Pick 5. 1269. Pick 6, 1690. It's really one price. There was a big one. I mean, an odds-on favorite catchphrase defeated resulted in everything probably paying more than it should have.
But formful for the most part outside of that, and really just goes to show that if you get a couple of prices in the mix or just defeat a short-priced favorite, things can still be pretty lucrative with some formful results throughout.
All right, back to Oaklawn. There is Sandman, 2-1 favorite. Graded stakes placed in that Street Sense last start. Mark Cassie looks to add another with Christian Torres. We're 2 minutes to post. Let's check in with Paulie.
Yeah, in the Sandman, enter Mariano Rivera or Billy Wagner, whichever one you like the most. But I tell you what, this is a nice son of Tapit, and he is a tall drink of water. My goodness, he is long striding too. So I can understand why he kind of takes a little time to get going because he's just physically a big horse. So they're all going to have to beat him. He was breathing fire in the post parade. He couldn't have looked any better. Now, favoritism has gone to the fore in here, calling card, and we'll show you his last race at Aqueduct. And here's a horse that first 2 starts were on the turf, 5.5, and then a mile and a 16th. and then he produces this win. I get it. It's against state breds. But when you win by 17 1/4 lengths and basically wrapped up, there's obviously some quality there, and they maybe found his right surface, and it was just a jog fest. So now, does he bounce off that effort, or has he always been a very good dirt horse? We just don't know. And Three Diamonds Farms in the Wyckoffs, they know what they're doing, so they're going to go back to the dirt here. I do think Sandman's the horse to beat. But, Greg, you'd mentioned a horse that I like. I'm going to go a Big Boat, the 7. And the reason why is I was talking to Jimmy DeVito. He had told me this horse won by accident, basically, first time out. They wanted him to go long. And then he had a brutal beginning, and he had a trouble trip like Sarah was alluding to. And then they went back to sprinting to try to get him ready to go back around 2 turns. So I think he could be a dangerous horse in here at 6-1. But they're all going to have to beat the 2. It's just the bottom line.
All right, Paulie. Sandman for him. Or, I'm sorry, they got to beat Sandman. He's going to go with a 7 in here. Calling Card's become the favorite. I think everyone's got to beat Calling Card with what he showed us in his dirt debut.
I just want to see it again from him, but if he runs that race against some horses that have a little bit more experience over the surface and have shown that they are a little bit more experienced overall, he's going to be the winner of this race. I just want to see an effort like that on repeat from him against horses that we've seen some stakes type efforts from, where they have faced some winners, whereas he's facing winners for the first time. But if we see that effort again, look, he is going to be extremely tough in here, and he is facing Open Company now, a horse that was against the state breds here in New York over his last victory.
It was the kind of race that, if he improves, and that was his dirt debut. I know start number 3 overall, first 2 came on grass. If he can progress off that, we start talking about a different path forward for him.
Oh, absolutely. I think that this is going to be a major race for him, because if we see a repeat of that performance, then we're looking at one of the hot 2-year-olds going into next year as one of the hot 3-year-olds to be discussing on the road to the Kentucky Derby. But if we don't see a repeat of that performance and we see something big from somebody else, this is one of those races that could play as being very important going forwards into the stakes program right here at Oaklawn, or perhaps coming back to face some of the state breds right here in New York. So he has plenty of options moving forwards. And of course, we know at Oaklawn how lucrative their stakes program is for the 2-year-olds going into 3-year-olds of next year on that road to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, including the Rebel, the Arkansas Derby. We saw our Derby and Oaks winner come out of those series last year from Hot Springs. Torpedo Anna, Mystic Dan. Excited to see what Calling Card can do here, and that was just did it so easily too. 9-5 favorite here, but Paul loved what he saw with Sandman. That too.
He's like a big boat.
And
mentioned Sandman as well, the horse that I need to close out this cross-country pick 5. Big Boat currently 7-1 though, but everybody's going to have to beat Calling Card's last race.
Matt Dinnerman with the call. It's the start of the pick 4.
Coming up, instant replay has got it. Here's Calling Card. Mick Dude to post position number 9. Last one in, Rio Chava. And that's Big Much, number 1, who unseated the rider, Ricardo Santana Jr.
See a rider off there down on the inside, Ricardo Santana Jr., waiting to get things settled with the 1, who they have now backed out of the gate, while everyone else patiently waits. Meantime, see if they'll get things sorted out here with the second-time starter for Norm Cassie.
Seems like they're circling behind the gate with him at the moment, likely checking things out to see what decision will be made, and seems like they're backing out some of the others in this field as well. We saw Sandman back out of the gate. Seems like now the number 3 instant replay is backing out as well. So going to have a moment before we get this race underway, as we do see runners coming out of the gate and now circling behind.
All right, let's head out there with Paulie and get the latest. What do you have for us, Paul?
You know what ended up happening, Greg and Sarah? You know, the horse sat down in the gate. Now, usually that's a automatic scratch, but the horse got back up. I think the vets took the horse out of the gate, and, you know, that's pretty much what happens. When you sit down in the gate, things can go bad. It should be an automatic scratch, and I think stewards are doing the right thing here. Whenever a horse sits down in the gate, what they call it casting in the stall, they can really get injured. He was able to get back up big much, so hopefully everything will be okay for his next start, but this is going to be a minor delay.
All right, Paulie, thanks. And there you see Ricardo Santana Jr. with that saddle towel. We'll head back to the jocks room here with Big Much Scratch. And look, we excited to see this horse going forward. That was a big debut so early in the year, too, for a 2-year-old for Norm Cassidy, a horse that has some promise. So we look forward to seeing him next time out.
Yeah, and you can see him jogging back with the outrider there, so appears to be no worse for the wear. A horse that we won't see run today, but one that you might want to keep your eye on moving forwards, and perhaps we could see this one make some noise down the road, but won't be running today, and I think the right call made after that incident in the gate, but everybody does seem to be okay.
Back to the barn, getting him squared away. One's already off that starting gate, so we'll be able to reload here fairly quickly once this horse is off the track, and there he is. As Ricardo Santana Jr.
Good crowd
having a back
on
and
hand.
forth with the fans. Let's see if he checks in with Paulie here. No.
We did see a little Paul LaDuca in the corner there, but good crowd that they have on hand for Oaklawn for today and for this weekend, and they usually do get a really good pouring of fans coming out to the racetrack for their program.
I knew Paulie'd catch up with Ricardo, so he got
call.
the latest there on Big Much. As they'll take a moment here, circle, take their time, and then reload in a moment. Favoritism remains now back to Sandman, who is coming on. And it just feels like, look, this horse has a little more experience on dirt, certainly in a graded stakes placing, but has to try and catch up to what Calling Card did on dirt. Let's get back to Paulie. What'd you hear from Ricardo Santana Jr., Paul?
Yeah, talking to Ricardo, he said to me the two kind of nudged him a little bit, and he said the one got a little bit scared, and then when he sat down, he said, you know, it was pretty bad, and he had some superficial, like little cuts on the back. And I think he's going to be okay, but everything was fine. Ricardo, when he backed the horse out, said, nah, I'm not going to risk this. He had some little scrapes, and you can see when he was coming back, the whole backside of the horse was full of dirt. So the stewards made the right move here. But that just might tell you how intimidating Sandman is. He's such a big horse. He kind of scared the one a little bit.
All right, Paulie, thanks for that. 8-5 favorite is Sandman, who now inherits the rail. Set for this 7th and the start of the Pick 4. Here we go again. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
Shama. This race starts and ends at the 16th pole. We're ready to go. And Laroff, Big Boat, blasts out of post 7, is on the lead with instant replay in the first 16th. Global Legend shaken up, moves through between that pair to be part of the action. Instant replay with the lead as they go into the turn. Global Legend sticking to him. Big Boat on a hold 3 deep. The Gray Sandman tucking in right behind them. They're running the 4th position. McDude is next with Calling Card there together. Rio Chama, Extradition are side by side. They're 3 better than Bout Tree Fitty as they approach the backstretch. Contentious pace. Big Boat keen to go, and his rider lets him stride to the front by a neck. Instant replay on a hold inside of him, but naturally quick. 1.5 lengths to Global Legend. He's taken back to 3rd now, and he's alongside McDude. 1.5 lengths to Sandman, Calling Card. The 2 favorites side by side. They're 3 lengths off dueling leaders with a half mile to go. Extradition, Rio Chama are next, and a big space back to Bout Tree Fitty as they go into the far turn. Remember, this race will end at the 16th pole. Instant replay has come back on to challenge Big Boat right together into that far turn run. They're locked in battle. 1 3/4 lengths back to Global Legend. Shaken up, loses 3rd to McDude. Calling Card coming on the scene, taking 4th. Joining McDude around the far turn. Sandman is trying to follow him as 5 lengths to gain and some work to do. At the top of the stretch, he's going to get inside of McDude as they come to the top of the lane. Big Boat off the turn is the clear leader from Instant Replay, who backs away. Here comes Sandman on the outside, gaining good ground down the center of the track. It's Big Boat, Sandman alongside now with big powerful strides to the front. Sandman goes, and Sandman draws clear to win it. Big Boat was 2nd. Calling card third, instant replay, fourth across the line. 2 wins back-to-back for trainer Bart Cassie.
Yeah, Cassie Barn on a roll. Graded stakes place last time out. Sandman able to beat a good effort here from Big Boat.
Yeah, Paul LaDuca calling out Big Boat being one that you wanted to keep your eye on in here at a price, and he made the lead, and Sandman able to get that nice inside-out trip for Christian Torres here. Mark Cassie double to close out the cross-country pick 5, ends up working out. Calling card runs well. First time against winners on the dirt, finishing third and perhaps a little bit more forward, but Sandman, I guess, a little bit too intimidating for some of these in this field and able to have a powerful move to win going away.
We're going to have to go live to the winner's circle and see if they play this song when he comes in. $1.2 million Son of Tap It, starting to live up to that purchase price.
Everyone else is going to have to sleep with one eye open, I guess.
Christian Torres, Mark Cassie. It's Sandman in the 7th for DJ Stables. St. Elias and back-to-back for Mark Cassie. We're going to look ahead to the Mistletoe Stakes feature on the Saturday card from Oaklawn when we return. 2-turn mile fillies, mares 3 and up. We're going to be joined by our friend, the MIG, when we come back.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Greg Wolf, Sarah El Badwi. We're joined by the MIG, Rich Migliori. Good to have you up here after reporting earlier on the day. We just saw maybe a few impressive, actually, 2-year-olds as we move forward to 2025.
I thought this was a really nice effort from Sandman, who looked like he was toiling around the far turn. And he was driven, through a tight spot by Christian Torres. But when he got to the clear, he lengthened that big, beautiful tap-it stride and got it done. But I like when young horses show the ability to race through traffic. It speaks to their heart and their grit, their determination.
He was professional. I like that effort from him, being able to sit the inside trip, take some dirt, and then really lengthen his stride to be able to get the victory as we take a look at him right there, heading into the winner's circle.
You see him right there, and you go, yeah, that one's worth $1.2 million.
Yeah, maybe not yet, but there's time.
Well, you know what I always think when you see horses purchased for these big sales prices? It's the dream of what they might be. That's what justifies the price tag. Could this be the one?
And, never know. Might take a few starts to develop. We could see this horse maybe burst forward as a 3-year-old or even as a 4-year-old, start to come into his own. But it gets another win here, so that's impressive for a horse who's already a graded stakes winner. Has some Derby points for next year in that prior start. Cross-country pick 5 as given out by Sarah. Well done.
Thanks. I'm excited that it was able to return something lucrative, maybe a little holiday money for some, $949, which pretty formful. Helen's Revenge, the only real price within the sequence. Everybody else pretty logical and not too difficult to get to.
How big was the ticket?
$30.
Not bad.
Spreading that holiday cheer. Nice. Good job.
Yeah, for the people.
All right, let's move on to the 8th 6 furlongs. In this restricted maiden special weight here, horses which sold for $75,000 or less in their most recent auction. Terabella inside, our buddy Tom Amoss. He'll have Christian Torres aboard for start number 2. Showed some early tactical speed on the grass at Fairgrounds first time out.
Yeah, we'll see if Tom Amoss can get another victory here. He had one earlier on in the card with a 2-year-old that was a big price in Authentic Gallop, and so he's off to a hot start at Oaklawn.
Coming up on our Saturday coverage, more from Oaklawn and their feature on the Saturday card. 1 Mile in the Mistletoe, and a filly we know quite well. We saw as part of our Alabama storyline last year. Black-Eyed Susan winner as well. It's been a great story for Randy Morse, taxed 8 to 5 in the morning line.
I'm excited to see what she can do. Second off a layoff here as a 4-year-old. She's done well at Oaklawn in the past. We're taking a look at her big victory as a 3-year-old down at Pimlico, winning the Black-Eyed Susan, a 90 buyer speed figure for her, finishing ahead of another gray in Hoosier Philly. But she's been very versatile and just very consistent, sprinting, going longer. Maybe she can take another step forward second off the bench.
I think it's very important she works out the right kind of trip, right? Because she is a filly that has a little bit of that habit, that propensity to want to lug in a little bit. You saw Rafael Bejarano, who's aboard this day. He's a rider that's always reluctant to go to his left-handed crop, but even with her, he had to pull his crop through to his left hand and keep her on a straight course. So trips certainly matter with horses like that aren't as easy to handle as some other horses.
Kind of teased us a little bit, too. Her comeback start at a distance probably not optimal for her earlier this year was very good. It really hasn't gone on a whole lot from that. We'll see what we get from her on Saturday. Obviously, though, very talented as we take a look at Cornerstone for Kenny McPeak. Off Julian LePeroux, coming in from Horseshoe Indy last start.
Yeah, 1 to 5 in this start. Can't do any better than third over at Horseshoe Indianapolis in that Cardinal. But she is one that had been in some very consistent form prior to that. A horse that has had a couple of starts and stops this year, but when she's shown up on the racetrack, she usually does run her race, and she tends to take money the majority of the time as well.
She does. One thing that's a little bit problematic, and this is, I think, a good question for you, Sarah. She's 0 for 3 at Oaklawn, but she wasn't as good then as she's become, and maybe she's just a horse that needed time and had nothing to do with the surface itself.
It's certainly possible. I think that you have to be a little bit disappointed in this short-priced effort, finishing third in that last start. But prior to that, she's got nothing but buyers in the low 80s that make her one of the main players.
She'd run big at Del Mar, right? San Diego. All right.
Okay.
Crickets. Crickets from you, too. Deck of cards. Mike Maker runner, 6 wins in a row with a year break in between.
She really came to hand at Saratoga this summer, able to continue that winning streak going over to Churchill Downs following that, and then did get beat at Horseshoe Indianapolis in that last start. But I like her stretching back out in distance as well.
You ever saw Anchorman?
You didn't like my Enter Sandman joke, so I mean, I had to dodge that one.
Sorry, I'm making a movie list for you, too. You need to see it.
All right.
What do you think about the performance we saw last time out from this one?
Well, listen, she showed speed at Indy, but going a mile, I mean, I guess she's the main speed, right? The controlling speed.
She is, and at least you know with her that she's been able to handle the distance before. Even though she was cutting back, she was still having that sprint speed, but she needs to get back on track from that last performance because that was a big regression off of some of her prior races.
Race 9 on our Saturday coverage, that Mistletoe. We look forward to it. Tax back in action. Been a fan favorite. Former Black-Eyed Susan winner will return to Hot Springs. We're going to have more action coming up right after a break. We'll get into this 8th, 14 minutes away from this restricted maiden special weight when we return.
My favorite race is the 2019 Kentucky Oaks with my horse, Serengeti Empress, crossing the finish line first and everything that she brought to us with that win. I don't know what it's like to actually be an athlete in a major event, but I think that walkover is about as close a feeling as you can get to it because you just feel electric inside.
They're off in the Kentucky Oaks.
I really wasn't watching her out of the gate because a horse had stumbled and lost its rider. And I immediately turned to that horse to make sure she was okay. And then I turned my attention back to Serengeti Empress, who was making the lead going to the first turn and saving ground from the 13th hole. That was the plan. So everything to this point is going great. My wife had turned to me and said, 46 and change, that is too quick for a half mile. And I turned and I said, not for my horse, it's not. Turning for home, I thought she cut the corner great. She's gonna take a challenge right here. And I'm like, uh-oh. But when Serengeti sees this filly out of the corner of her eye, she re-brakes, takes off, and it's right about here where I realize I'm gonna win the Kentucky Oaks.
As they come down to the line, Serengeti Empress has taken the Kentucky Oaks.
I remember raising my hands like this, and then one of my friends patted me on the back, and I lost my balance. And I fell into my daughter, and I fell into my wife, and we hit the floor. And everybody piled on like it was like we just won the World Series. I must have thought about a million things at the same time, but the most overwhelming thought in my head was my parents. And I always hoped I could do something in their lifetime that would make them proud, a signature race, and this was it for me. I mean, how do you describe something that just makes everything in the world seem great? I don't know what's in the future for Tom Amoss Racing Stable, what big races might be out there, but for me, this will be the one, and she'll be the one. I'll never, ever forget her.
And I'll never, ever stop loving watching that feature. It's so good. I mean, obviously, we know Tom really well. We're so happy for him when that moment happened. And it was a career-defining moment. He looks good in pink, too.
He looks good in pink. And you know what? I just love the raw emotion that he still feels from that accomplishment. I mean, there are races that are known in our country, the Kentucky Derby, obviously, the Kentucky Oaks right behind it. And to basically write your name into the record books amongst legends of the game. And listen, Tom's a legend himself. 25% and wins at such a high strike rate consistently, over 75 wins this year. Consistently.
Highest winning percentage of any trainer in the top 20 with career wins in the sport. It's amazing.
It's
Incredible
a remarkable
consistency.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to be able to have that record year after year. And he's already on the board at Oaklawn with some of his 2-year-olds winning earlier on in today's card.
Having said that, we're going to have a lot of negative things to say about him if he doesn't win this race coming up with this one right here. Terabella debuted on grass, turf sprint speed. Now moving to dirt, you would think this one's going to be in front.
Certainly showing that turf sprint speed, as you mentioned, likely to go from the rail. Tom Amoss not exactly proficient switching his 2-year-olds from turf to dirt, but he's coming into this Oaklawn meet with a hot hand already and getting off to a good start.
5-2 on Terabella, who we'll see in a moment. Favorites next door, Complex Secret, who has that race in the wet track. That's sort of a standout performance for the daughter of complexity for Kenny McPeak. As they continue to come out onto the main track here. Here's a look at Alanis, Peter Miller runner, coming in from the West Coast, making an equipment change, blinkers on, one who's shown plenty of speed out on the West Coast and now puts blinkers on as well.
And Peter Miller also coming in with a hot hand to start off the Oaklawn meet. Won a 2-year-old stakes race on opening day with Kale's Angel, defeating a heavy favorite and Innovator. So he's coming in locked and loaded with some of his California shippers and themes of what we saw earlier on today's card. California Shipper did win a race earlier today, so good to pay attention to where those runners are coming from as they come in from other jurisdictions.
Tom Amoss' filly the favorite right now as we get set for her dirt debut coming up after that turf effort at Fairgrounds back in November. So 2-1 right now, as is Complex Secret. The 4 not far behind for Peter Miller. And then we'll get a look at some of these first-time starters and see if any of them catch the eye. Got a Prairie Meadows Invader, who's a huge price outside, and a Kenny McPeak filly on the extreme outside, taking a little bit of money too, the 10 sight to see.
Yeah, that's the problem with handicapping Oakland. It's just difficult because you have so many horses coming from so many different jurisdictions. So I'm so impressed with it. Paul just seems to always have a good handle on it and is able to decipher through and has consistently been picking winners at Oakland. But how about Sarah starting off with that nice, was it pick 5, right?
Cross country.
Cross
yeah.
country, pick
It's
5.
all downhill from here. That's why you're here to help.
Mic drop.
Start with Tom Amos's Terabella here, dirt debut.
Yeah, good speed on turf. First out, inside draw certainly lends itself to some more insistence on showing that speed.
Can Complex Secret get back to that wet track effort?
If so, I think she's the one to beat based on that race 2 starts ago.
Eskin for a raise.
Has run some good races at Remington, but a little bit slow.
Alanis, blinkers on for Peter Miller.
Peter Miller coming in with a good start to the meet as well. This one shipping in from Del Mar.
First-time starter by Take Charge Indy for Tom Vance here at Indy Bay.
Yeah, real interesting pedigree here. Grand Dam was Harmony Lodge, Grade 1 winner for Todd Pletcher.
Emmeline, Harry Hernandez, 30-1.
A lot of works for this one, indicating a strong foundation, but not a trainer that's known to really fire with first-time starters.
Another first-time starter here by Vino Rosso, 32-1.
Yeah, not taking any money on the board. Usually we looked at the board to help us. Mare has not produced yet. Actually, this is a New York bred, too.
Here's Calipari's Girl debuting for Alan Milligan.
An Instagram to this one, who's not off to the hottest start with his first-timers, but does have Keewaydin to his credit.
Nala D showed some tactical speed at Prairie Meadows first time out.
Yeah, from maiden 50 and steps up in company here.
And then the Kenny McPeak second-time starter from the outside post.
Didn't really take much money first time out at Churchill Downs, but taking a couple of nibbles on the board here.
4 minutes away from this 8th. Let's check in with Paulie. It's Complex Secret, Paul. One of the 2 for McPeak in here, the favorite on the board.
Yeah, and probably, one of the horses that beaten here. Now, Tom's horse is taking a little bit more money on the inside, but Complex Secret has got a couple decent efforts, at least one really good effort. Now, it was over a sloppy racetrack at Churchill Downs, but this horse did start at Saratoga. I get it, was 18-1, was 25-1 this day. So, these big races that were from 800, 122,000, the horse really wasn't getting bet. But after this second place finish, came back to Keeneland and was bet down to favoritism, did not run that well. So what do you want to do with a horse like Complex Secret? Julian Leperoux gets aboard. First time he'll be aboard. And I would think this horse will try to show some speed. Now, the one was able to talk to our colleague Tom Amos, and he was more concerned about the LSU problem with Brian Kelly, of course, with his college football. But I was talking to him about Terabella, and he basically said to me, listen, I couldn't find a race, and I just basically wanted her to go on the turf. She was never meant to be on the turf. So he just ran her around there on the turf. And then today is go time. His worry is that he had to start this horse with Lasix, first time out in Louisiana, and then now no Lasix on today. And his other concern was, the move today has been sort of that sweeping move. And I think that's what he's worrying about, that maybe a horse that could be a horse that can sweep his horse or swoop his horse. So I think by that intel, he's basically telling you that, I'm going to be going towards the front end. Mick, you made a good point about the 5. I included this horse in my pick 5. Tommy Vance has had some good 2-year-olds. This horse has been working well. And then the 10 on the outside. It's just hard to leave the McPeak horses out. This horse is taking nibbles, like Sarah was saying, drops from maidens, or, kind of stays at the maiden special weight level, gets into the restricted, which is big, because these horses have been in multiple straight maidens instead of the restricted. So I'm going to stick with Tom's horse, the 1. I didn't think this horse would be 2-1, as now the 2 is about a $50 favorite over your 1, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. It's been really close back and forth between the 1 and the 2 for favoritism. It's going to be the 1, unless there's a poor break, who has the jump on this 2-horse early on. It looks like she is the quickest of the field from that inside post with Christian Torres, and we'll see if she can dictate things on the front end.
Well, again, I think the rail draw just kind of simplifies things. You have to go. If you have speed, use that speed. She's out of a mare, Tisnow Smile, very nice New York bred, who was a multiple winner on dirt here in New York.
Yeah, much more proficient over that surface, and getting that insight as far as what Tom's intentions were with starting this one on the turf, and really not thinking that this one would excel over that surface, thinking that this one is more of a dirt horse. That's in line with what we're seeing from the pedigree. But we're taking a look now at Complex Secret, who, even though she finished 4th as the favorite in that last start at Keeneland and has to get back to that race 2 starts ago, I mean, the horses coming out of that race have been very productive moving forward, so keeping good company.
And we talk about the pace in here, and we fully expect Terabella to be there, setting it. What about Alanis, though? Coming in from the West Coast, blinkers go on, a filly who's shown to be very fast early already.
Yeah, and one thing about trainers from California, they put a lot of foundation in their horses, and they're not afraid to let them show that speed. And when they add blinkers, it just feels like they want her to show that kind of speed. You're trying to intensify that. And Peter Miller's gotten off to a good start, right? He won the stake opening day, was it?
Yeah, Kale's Angel. So he's 1 for 1 at the meet so far, batting 100, and coming into this spot, a horse that's already shown that speed, adding the blinkers to a horse that's already shown that they have some forward position, but she maybe has been a little bit green in some of her starts. What would you think about a trainer wanting to add blinkers to a horse that's already had forward position?
Well, I think that just what you're saying, the fact that she's been green, you're trying to get all her attention, get her focus, right? Get her to do things properly and without looking around. I've got to think she's going to show even more speed, and she's shown good speed and California speed, 21 and 4, 44
It's different, isn't it?
It really is. Listen, having ridden on both coasts and pretty much every state in between, California speed is another level of speed.
Meanwhile, this 10 outside would love to see a few try and battle up front, unless maybe just completely different here second time around. But Sight to See, I was a little slow early into stride in that debut. And Kenny McPeak's barn, he's talked about it quite a bit, especially with his go-to guy, Brian Hernandez Jr., likes to give his horses a start.
Yeah, his horses get better with racing. Also, she was drawn 2 of 12. Now she's drawn 10 of 10, and the outside draw is just going to allow her to get into a better rhythm, right? She's not under the same kind of pressure.
So if she breaks a little bit slowly here and they haven't fully rectified those gait tendencies in the second start, this could be a situation where she's not as under the gun to recover as quickly and have horses that are closing in around her. She'll have that open space to get into a good rhythm towards the outside if she does happen to break slow yet again in this spot.
And really none of these first-time starters, the 5, 6, 7, 8, really taking any attention on the board.
I thought the 5 was a little interesting. You know, one of the things we look at is pedigree, with horses that haven't started. And she's got a deep pedigree, going back to Windcrafty Lady and then certainly Harmony Lodge. So I just thought she had an interesting kind of pedigree, and I like that good, strong 5 furlong work 2 back.
Can Terabella take command early? Second time out for Tom Amoss in the dirt debut from the rail. Complex Secret next door, right now the favorite. It's gone back and forth between those two for favoritism. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 8th from Oaklawn.
Still trying with Calipari's Girl. Goes it. Indy Bay coming up, and Sight to See to the outside. Here's Sight to See. We're ready to go. And they're off. All 10 broke as one. Indy Bay up on the pace, shows speed in the first lifetime start. As an arrow lead early, Terabella from the inside, not far off, nor is Complex Secret. Between that pair down the back stretch, and the 2 inside runners have taken control, and they spar. Terabella inside of Complex Secret, right together with a half mile to go. Indy Bay right off of them, 3 deep. Got the breather, comes back on again to make it 3 across the track, approaching the 4-turn run. Alanis in the 4th position in the pink going into the 4-turn run. In the meantime, Eskin for a raise had to tap on the brakes when in tight on the inside. Sight to See gets the clear route in the 4-path and begins a move as they round the 4-turn towards those leaders. Takes 3rd, in fact, with 5/16 to go. Naladi is next in the field. Carries Kiss well behind, then Calipari's Girl and Emma Moline as they come to the top of the lane. Alanis behind the leaders is looking for racing room, has run, and now finds a seam between horses. That's the one that catches the eye. Alanis punching forward with Ramon Vasquez. Furlong to go. It's Alanis who has the head lead now. Alanis from Indy Bay in second. Outside, it's Sight to See. Alanis with a 16th to go, finishing strong. And Alanis coming from California to break the maiden in Hot Springs. Sight to See second home. Then Indy Bay and Complex Secret.
Blinkers going on, back on, actually warm in the debut. Last two starts they came off. It's shown quickness out on the West Coast. Comes from off the pace here, splitting horses to get this win.
She was traveling well behind horses, too. I think the Blinkers had the desired effect, maybe not showing more speed, but keeping her focused and keeping her traveling in the bridle. And what a nice ride by Ramon Vasquez, who I thought it was impressive with not, riding the best of stock in Saratoga over the summer, but delivering some nice rides and just give this filly a really good trip.
So professional in this race as well, to be able to sit off of horses that were forward. It was kind of that scrimmage early on for who wanted that pace supremacy, but she was able to get those split at the right time and just travel very comfortably in between horses and draw away by a couple of lengths in here where it seemed like a couple of others were ultimately sort of running in place. She was the one that was progressing forward very well.
So Alanis for Peter Miller with the victory here, holding off late charge from the second-time starter for Kenny McPeak, who runs a good one too. Improves quite a bit here in her second start. And for Tarabella, had to be pushed, throttled from the inside post here to try and be in front. That was a tough spot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Complex Secret showed good speed. She was under pressure, kind of backed out a little bit. Give her another try with a better draw. I think the rail didn't help her chances today. Got it. We would remiss not to say about the 5-horse Indy Bay. What a nice effort from this first-time starter. Maybe just got a little bit tired the last 16th of a mile.
Yeah, seemed to be moving very well in that race throughout the running against horses with plenty of experience over that one.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. It's Ramon Vasquez, Peter Miller for Gary Barber. Familiar with those silks on this program. Maiden Breaker here in the fourth start.
Down, get in, 350. Here we go. 3 here, 50. Down 4, 8.5 in the back. 1,400,000 stands way in the back. Thank you.
1,005,000 and $1,006,000. $150,000, $1,550,000 now. $1,500,000. Jody, thank you.
Please hold your applause.
Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at Naira Tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Back with you here on America's Day at the Races. And Hot Springs has that Saratoga kind of feel around town. It's Alanis coming in for the West Coast for Peter Miller. Nice start to the meet. 2 starts, 2 wins. And this filly adding blinkers breaks her maiden career start number 4. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, with winning jockey here, Ramon Vasquez aboard Alanis. And You know, this goes back to Southern California, you and Peter Miller. You're already 2 for 2 together, but this filly was very professional today, Ramon.
No, she acted very professional today. You know, she break very well, and then she put in the position that I wanted. Just when I asked her in the last quarter, she responded very well, and I'm thanking God I can find the hole in the last quarter.
Yeah, you took a good split there. You had to get a split to catch the horses. You know, Peter's sending these horses, and I know you rode the horses over in California, and it's good to be in these Gary Barber silks as well, too.
No, thank you, the owner Gary, for the opportunity, and thank you always, Peter. We always got good success together. So he gave me the first great one in the USA, and I always so grateful to have, to be part of his team.
Yeah. You starting to love Hot Springs? It's your second full year here.
Yeah, no, I love Hot Springs.
Ramon Vasquez loving Hot Springs, riding well. He's got a double on the day, and he's got Classic Car Wash in the next race, guys.
Yeah, and that looks like a major contender coming up for Mark Cassidy, Classic Car Wash. Horses run some big efforts. We'll get to that race coming up in a moment. But we've seen Ramon Vasquez, some big stages. We've seen him at Saratoga. We've seen him in New York. Very talented rider.
Very talented, very classy individual. Really enjoyed getting to know him a little bit over this past summer. Billy Castle, his longtime agent, is a friend of mine. He made the introductions. And I like when hard work is rewarded. And this is a guy that works hard at his craft. So I like when he has success. You know, some people are just lucky in life. They kind of wander into good things. I like when people have to work for it and make the most of their opportunities.
Well, again, we're going to see him coming up in the next race in the feature 6 furlong sprint in this allowance optional claiming field. He will again be on Classic Car Wash for Mark Cassidy, who's been off since late August at Gulfstream. Right now, 8-1. That price is going to come down, you would think, on Classic Car Wash. And Macron, player in this spot as well. Awesome Aaron. Father-son duo battling again in this spot. And one might think with a Hall of Fame father, following in his footsteps would be the natural progression for Norm Cassidy, but that was the farthest thing from the truth for him. Didn't happen until much later in life that he really fell in love with horse racing. Norm talks about the horse who changed it all for him and the difficult decision he had to tell Dad when he decided what it was he wanted to do with his life.
I grew up resenting horse racing a little bit. My dad and my mother divorced when my brother and I were very young, and I didn't get to see Dad a lot. And when I did go to see Dad during the summers, we'd have to go to the races in the barn all day. And then being a little kid, there was a lot of resentment there. I didn't really have a direction early on in my life. I loved sports. I loved baseball. I actually played a year of college baseball. But I mean, at some point you realize, you're 5'6", you're 5'7", you're slow as hell, you have terrible arm. You're not going to be a Major League Baseball player. Growing up in Louisville, I fell in love with horse racing on my own.
The unbeaten colt, Smarty Jones, is drawing away to win the Derby.
In the year that Smarty Jones won, I caught the bug really, really bad and decided that's what I wanted to do. I remember the conversation really well because it took a long time to have it. Probably a couple years to tell Dad. I knew I wanted to be a trainer. I knew I wanted to follow in his footsteps, but I wasn't brave enough to tell him that yet. I was embarrassed to admit it for whatever reason, and it was an emotional thing to tell him, and I don't know why, because as soon as I did tell him, he's like, well, then let's do it. Let's make you the best that you can possibly be, and we hit the ground running.
But Tepin has a 5-length margin and deep stretch. It is Tepin.
Tepin in front. Tepin, Parado racing it out near the line. Tepin from Bamboo. Wins for America and that's the winner.
Tepin in front. They have a furlong to run, and she has turned them away. And she is going to make this her own personal playground. Tepin.
I just give credit to Tepin for a lot of things. Tepin is definitely the reason I went on my own because she gave me that confidence. When I left to go on my own, there was no handouts. I got my own clients. At the time, I was a little upset about that, but in hindsight, that was the right thing to do because now everything has been that much more rewarding.
Hard Legacy still going strong. Hard Legacy goes coast to coast.
To win my first graded stake at Churchill Downs, we did it for Mary Lou Whitney while Mary Lou was still with us. And to win a race named after a horse that Mary Lou bred, the Whitney's bred regret. You know, it's kind of fairy tale, and it was a good moment.
It is Pretty Birdie, jockey Louis Saez, wearing the colors of the Mary Lou Whitney stables. Pretty Birdie takes the Schuylerville.
Being associated with Mary Lou Whitney and her husband John, who have been so great for the sport and so great for the town of Saratoga, I knew there was a lot of pressure riding on Pretty Birdie and me, and she delivered. I've been a part of a lot of big races, won a lot of big races when I've worked for my father, but that was the biggest moment of my life in racing so far. There's two simple goals. I would like to be the guy in Kentucky, you know, at that very top tier at Churchill and Kingland. That would be one of my main goals, but the only goal is to win the Kentucky Derby.
I feel like I have to say it every time we show that feature. Nobody slow walks better than Norm. Look, he was a big part of his dad's operation when they had so much success, Tepin and all those the superstar runners, and he's really made a splash out on his own.
He has. It's been really incredible to see the early success that he has. And as he discussed in that feature, he wasn't always sure that that's something that he wanted to do, but it's certainly been working out for him. And he has a very live shot coming up in this next race at Oaklawn with a horse that I think is still your current favorite.
Yeah, Awesome Aaron 2-1. What do you think about Awesome Aaron here?
Oh, I obviously had a big chance. I'm a little bit stuck on Jackman because of his record at Oaklawn, and he's a horse that I think Steve Asmussen claimed with the idea that Oaklawn's coming, and he's a horse that has won half of his starts at Oaklawn Park, and I put a lot of credence to that, particularly early in a new meeting.
Now, Dad's got a horse who has a monster race. That's Mark Casse next door to Norm with Classic Car Wash, who could be maybe a thorn in the side of this one here. We'll see. Father-son battling again here in this ninth from Oaklawn. There's Norm's runner, Awesome Aaron. We'll have Ricardo Santana Jr. in the irons. We'll have the post-parade for the Friday feature when we come back. Back with you on our Friday coverage. There again, Norm Cassie's awesome Aaron, 5-year-old son of Practical Joke, looking to win for the 5th time in his career. And right next door will be Dad's runner, Mark Cassie's Classic Car Wash. Ramon Vasquez will look for another one, but it's Norm with the 2-1 favorite right now.
Yeah, this horse is taking all of the early money. A horse that has plenty of back class is going second off of the claim for Norm here. A horse that ran an improved race for him when starting in this barn for the first time against some tougher company. And if he takes another step forward, he's one of the main players. But I honestly am a little bit surprised that he is the short price favorite that he is right now, because there are plenty of other horses that should get some good trips in this spot and have a little bit more of that back class as well.
Well, meanwhile, we're going to jump outside, show you Chiringo, who did not want the meet to end earlier this year. Ended on a high note, back-to-back wins, 87, 91 buyers, including this May 4th performance. To put an exclamation point on the meet.
Yeah, talk about a horse that took an affinity for to Oaklawn Park's racing surface. 2 for 2 there. What do you expect off the layoff, though? Is he going to be fit enough? I do like those really faster works, 2 and 3 back, or 3 and 4 back, I should say. I like when horses have those works, a few works before they actually race, and then they have those maintenance moves beforehand.
Had only the dirt debut, Sarah, then completely different surfaces, gets back on the dirt for the first time since the debut and back-to-back wins.
Yeah, I mean, he's a horse that had tried all 3 surfaces. He had not run those kinds of races on the dirt in the past, but really took to the Oaklawn surface with his new connections for Cipriano Contreras, who he was even off slow in that return to dirt, getting the victory in April. And while it was over a different surface, he has at least shown that he can run well fresh off of a layoff. And I like the work pattern as you do, Richie. He is one that should get the right kind of trip towards the outside, because it seems like there's some pace to his inside.
He's been good. Just his 2nd and 3rd tries on dirt, both dominant performances, both on this surface. But again, the layoff to contend with does look like, though, he's been working sharp for the comeback. As we take a look here at Awesome Aaron, and I know, Mig, you're looking from a TV screen. Mm-hmm. It's not quite the same. How's he look to you, though?
Awesome Aaron?
Yeah.
No, I mean, he looks good. He obviously he's been running. He's been in good form. So he obviously looks fit. Getting back quickly to the outside runner, Chiringo. I like when horses they build up to that crescendo almost, right? Where he goes 101 for 5 furlongs, 7 days later, 59 and 3. A little bit of a gap, and then 59 and change again, then a minute and 4 at Oaklawn, and then that half and 50 and 2. You've got them fit. You almost just kind of want to tease them. You want them to want to do more. You've got them fit, and now you're just whetting their appetite a little.
The more I hear you talk, and I say, you want to be out there training, don't you?
Well, listen, I like being with horses, and it's like that's my comfort zone. And I've got people I could train for, so I wouldn't rule it out. I would not rule it out. Because I'm up here talking with you guys.
Could be in the future. We'll see. I mean, the passion's there.
Tom Amoss does.
Yeah, but that's extraordinary. He's good at both.
Here's Bohemian Bo. We'll have the rail coming up in Offset's April for Tom Vance.
We haven't seen a repeat of this 90-buyer speed figure that he earned in this race, and it was really a breakout performance from him, but he has some races that are around the ballpark of that number in the past, and he is one that likes to be forward. He has been off since last season at Oaklawn, and he's going to go in all likelihood from the rail with some speed to his outside.
Arkansas bred, trying to do it against Open Company.
Yeah, like you said, he does have that one race to go back to that would make him competitive, but he also has speed from the inside off a layoff, and he's going to be under pressure early on.
12-1 on the Arkansas bred runner, Bohemian Bo, 3-time winner on this surface. We'll get to our post parade here in just a moment. Interesting race here coming up. Jackman, Team Asmussen, Steve and Eric will team up here, 5-1. He's coming off a second-place performance, over $500,000 in earnings as we take a look at Jackman right now to lead things off.
And this horse has 7 career victories from 16 starts, 14 times 1, 2, 3 from 16 starts at Oaklawn. That's significant.
I think you call that horse for course. Here's Bohemian Bo. Has been off since April.
Speed from the inside, has to deal with that layoff and some other speed in here.
Lindsey Schultz with easy action.
Brings more speed to the table. He has run some of his faster races right here at Oaklawn, though.
There's Market Street entering the picture for Dwayne Lucas.
If you want to talk about back class and the company capped, he has been facing some graded stakes types, and he hasn't necessarily been disgracing himself either.
Here's Norm Cassie's Awesome Aaron.
Obviously a major player. A little surprised that he's a favorite. Awesome Aaron's got to be named for Aaron Yagoda.
And 9-5, the one to beat on the board right now. And then Norm's dad here, Mark Cassie, next door with Classic Car Wash.
Mark Cassie and Ramon Vasquez both separately looking for another win on this card. Once was second to Tappet Trice in the Tampa Bay Derby, but has run some fast races since as well.
Here's Macron for John Horan.
It feels like Macron would have to run an A++ race for him in a tough field.
And Chiringo, can he keep that brilliant dirt form and pick up where he left off last meet?
Certainly has an affinity for this Oaklawn main track. If he can get back to some of his races that we were seeing last season, he also should get the right kind of trip towards the outside.
See if we can keep this going with the Norm Cassie hour. Can Awesome Aaron get the win? He's got the 9-5 favorite. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, I am with the trainer Mark Cassie here. Excuse me, Norm Cassie, because I know that gets him a little bit upset. But Norm and I have been talking a little baseball because he's the only man in all of horse racing that actually can talk baseball with me because he actually did play college. Not Kenny McPeak and Rob Hess. I'm calling you both out. So Awesome Aaron, let's get to Awesome Aaron. You telling me this horse been training well?
Yeah, when we claimed him, I thought it was a pretty sharp claim. Justin Nicholson picked him out for A.J. Suited. He's done really well finding good potential claims for us. And since he's been put in the barn, he just trains lights out. He trains like a good horse, and we're excited to see what he does today.
And where do you want to sit here, Norm?
I would like to be forward. It just seems like as I'm watching the races all day today, seems like it's playing a little bit, speed favoring a little bit. I mean, the horse has got some gas. He ran fast early last time. I'd like to see that happen again today.
Now, your father's horse, are you worried about him at all, Classic Car Wash?
He's coming off a bit of a layoff, but the way that Dad's horses have been running today here at Oaklawn, I think you got to be scared of him.
Recent racing, if you notice, has been key, no?
Yeah. Oh, sure. I agree with that. And I think if you look at the track, the surface itself is just deep. It's demanding. I like that our horse has a few starts under him. He's had to work over the track, and, he fits in here.
And let's get back to Too Much. Everything okay with her? The horse that got scratched earlier?
Yeah, he's fine. He just stood up in the gate. He has a tendency to do that type of stuff. It's so funny because in the barn, he's a sweetheart. He's professional, but every once in a while, he'll stand up and sit down. And unfortunately, that happened again today. And we'll regroup and rebuild, and he'll be okay.
Good luck this meet, and good luck with Awesome Aaron. Norm Cassie, I think, has got a big shot here with Awesome Aaron, as well as his father here with the Gary Barber Silks of Classic Car Wash, guys.
Good luck to Norm. And look, we get a look at this horse here again. Here's Norm Cassie's Awesome Aaron. This horse looks outstanding. Warming up, you cannot look better.
Oh, he looks tremendous. I love when horses frame up that way, right? Bow their head. They're kind of like a coiled up spring wanting to be released. He listened to his rider. He waited on Ricardo Santana, but he was all horse underneath him.
He wins the beauty pageant by a mile. 9-5 favorite. Let's go back to Paulie.
I'm with you, Greg. I mean, I could see my reflection off him. He looks tremendous. And I will say the 6th looks good as well. His father's horse, Norm. And now Norm's had 2 wins on the day, and now he's got the Gary Barber looking for a triple here. And I'm surprised that Classic Car Wash isn't taking a lot of money. I do understand where Awesome Aaron's going. He looks tremendous on the racetrack. This could be a real heady claim in here. Where does he sit in this race? If you look back at Awesome Aaron before, he had gate issues. Now, it seems like those gate issues have kind of gone away. To start 2 back, he got left in the gate. I just don't think he can afford to do that here. So if he breaks as well as he did last time, he cut off insane fractions. I don't care if that's in the slop or not. 109 and change is moving. So I do think the 5 is a barometer at 9-5. But the horse on your screen, Mark's already won 2 today. You get Ramon Vasquez, Gary Barber. They're all looking for a triple. This horse was second in the Tampa Bay Derby, run against Tappet Trice. I think the key, too, if you look at Classic Car Wash, he's a completely better horse with Lasix. And he gets Lasix back on, so that's why I landed on him. Now, the 8 horse is the horse to beat. I mean, I'm sorry, when it comes to numbers, the horse to beat. Now, talk to Cipriano Contreras. He's not a guy that likes to be on camera, but I talked to him. I said, Cip, why did you lay this horse up? He said, listen, this horse had a minor issue after he won last year, but he's ready to go. I think I got him fit. I got him ready to go. I know I'm running into a tough group here, but he seems to me that he thinks he's got this horse ready, and since this horse moved to dirt, he's turned into a different animal. So if he's ready, he's the horse to beat. I just think the 6 is the horse to bet here, Greg, at 5-1, just the way the Cassie Barnes going. Barber and Ramon Vasquez is seeing things well right now.
All right, that is the 6 at 5-1, Paulie. Thank you. As we look at Chiringo again, but yeah, that effort at Gulfstream, 3 back in April, that's a race that no one's been able to come close to in this field. He just has a huge race on the resume.
Yeah, I think Paul made a great point too, though, right? Getting Lasix back is, certainly a key. It looks like his best races come when he races with Lasix. Just talk about Jackman real quick, guys. 7-1, I think, too big a price for a horse that's 11 for 31 at the distance, 23 times 1, 2, 3 at 6 furlongs. At Oaklawn, 16 starts, 7 wins, 6 seconds, a third. You get Steve Asmussen, his son Eric Asmussen, who's an apprentice, and his name has to be high on the list for the Eclipse Award voters for Champion Apprentice this year. Closing in on $5 million in purse earnings, 125 wins. Now his brother, Keith, never got to ride with the Bug because he couldn't take advantage of that weight allowance. He's just a bit too tall, and has done tremendously well.
And you've talked about it before, it makes it even more remarkable that he's been able to show the progression that he's had because he didn't get that kind of learning allowance.
Listen, why do young riders get a weight allowance? It's an incentive for owners and trainers to give them an opportunity. And you start out getting a 10-pound break in weights. You go to 7 after a period after 5 wins, and then down to 5 pounds for a year up to the date of your 5th winner. So, not having that, obviously he had his dad in his corner, but he couldn't ride him on everything. Not having that advantage and learning on the job straight up is not an easy thing to do. I thought Keith was very impressive that he was able to do that.
He was kind of the talk of the meet last year, really showing a lot of improvement, and we got to see him progress as we were covering their races, getting that first graded stakes victory as well for the coach. And Jackman also kind of the talk of the meet last year. Now maybe those 2 separate stories can come together in a way this year with Jackman going out for the Asmussen Barn and now for Eric.
Yeah, I just think he's interesting at a big price too, 8-1 for a horse that he knows how to win. He shows up.
Potentially, think we see a pretty hot pace in this race too.
I think so, with him coming back as well as Bohemian Beau coming off a little bit of a freshening towards the inside. I would expect to see those 2 want to establish some forward position in this spot.
Norm Cassie, his 5, Awesome Aaron, has been favored pretty much throughout. 2-1 right now, the one to beat on the board with Ricardo Santana Jr. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the 9th from Oaklawn.
Chiringo won 2 in a row, took a layoff. Here he is making his 2024-25 Oaklawn meet debut. Goes in, we're ready to go. And Laroff, Blue and his crew, caught him in another good line on the backstretch out of the gate. Bohemian Beau right away to the lead goes the Arkansas bred, and Bohemian Beau has a share of it anyway. There's a lineup there right with him. Jackman's close, but he's going to ease off the pace. Market Street taking the 2nd position as Bohemian Beau leads the way by a half length from Market Street, who's alongside, and Awesome Aaron, who's 3 deep. Chiringo right off of them, 4th, 4 wide, 2 off the lead. Jackman down on the inside as he goes into the turn, just about 2.5 lengths from the top. Another length to Easy Action in midfield, being encouraged to pick up the pace. Classic Car Wash, Macron. Those 2 trail together as they round the far turn. Bohemian Beau still in front. Here's a fresh challenge from Chiringo, who's off the contentious pace, and he's ready to roll. Chiringo at the top of the lane looms large. Chiringo off the turn with Bohemian Beau, stubborn from the inside, fighting hard, but it's Chiringo who has the upper hand. Bohemian Beau's not going away. Chiringo with a head in front. Bohemian Beau very game today on the inside. Bohemian Beau is resurgent, reclaims the lead from Chiringo, and Bohemian Beau never spit the bit and earns a hard-fought victory. Chiringo's 2nd, Classic Car Wash from the back snatches 3rd, Macron was 4th, and then Awesome Aaron.
Huge effort from the Arkansas bred, beating Open Company and doing it off a lengthy layoff as well.
Some job by Tom Vance to have this horse ready to fire. It hasn't been seen since last April at Oaklawn. Did have that one race we talked about, Sarah, that he went back to. He certainly did that today and maybe more. And Chiringo looked like he had his measure turning for home. Bohemian Bow refused to yield.
That was a lineup that everybody really wanted to be forward early on in this race, but Christian Torres was committed to having this horse establish that early position, and he fought all the way to the wire. It seemed like the closers were coming, picking up some momentum. Other horses might come and get him, but he always really had a clear and measured lead over Chiringo, and off the break, dealing with other speed. This was a big, big effort from Bohemian Bow.
Wins at a price here in this ultra competitive 9th race. Chiringo puts in a big effort. That one coming off the bench too. Looked like it might be his day. But this Archie bred digs in and battles all the way to the end to get that 5th career win at 15 starts. Tom Vance, Christian Torres, and I believe this is the first win for this horse against Open Company.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. He won the no double breeders stakes last year against Arkansas breds, and no double being the most notable Arkansas bred in the history of Arkansas breds. But how about their incentive bonuses? You know, Arkansas breds. The purses are gigantic. I mean, you could actually lay the horse up all through the summer and wait till Oaklawn, and it's cost effective. It works.
I mean, this was just such a big effort from him, and he has mostly been successful against the Archie breds, except for his maiden win, which you have to go back a ways for that. But, I mean, so game coming back off of that break, too, to show the tenacity that he did with that forward position.
9-1?
9
yeah,
to 1.
9-1. So 1, 8, 6, 7. Bohemian Bow with the victory here in the 9th. Christian Torres for Tom Vance with the victory.
Jackie's Warrior quickly in front here by 2 lengths. Here comes Jackie's Warrior up the inside to take over the lead from Life is Good. Jackie's Warrior remains undefeated here at Saratoga, and he wins an unprecedented Grade 1 stakes at the Spa for the 3rd straight season.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
An Eclipse champion by leading young sire Not This Time. Up to the Mark made an impression in the sales ring, bringing $450,000. He then left his mark on the racetrack, a debut winner at Saratoga, before compiling 3 consecutive Grade 1 wins in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs, the Manhattan Stakes at Belmont, and the Turf Mile at Keeneland. Up to the Mark now seeks to leave his mark as a stallion, standing at Lane's End.
You're watching Friday Action on Fox Sports 2. America's Day at the Races feature on this Friday card from Oaklawn Park. It goes to the Arkansas bred Bohemian Bow, 2180 for the victory. Sarah showed me actually debut win came against Open Company when he broke his main at Sam Houston. But first win against Open Company at Oaklawn, and he does it against a really good field here as well. Let's go to Paulie.
With trainer here, Tommy Vance. We were just looking over the time, Tommy. This horse ran giant. We haven't seen a horse go gate to wire like this.
No, he ran awful fast, and that 21-4 kind of concerned me a little bit, but he went on.
He relaxed for Christian really nice.
And you told me this is one way to go. That's just the way he runs.
That's the way he runs. Yeah, if he gets to the lead and if he gets a clear lead, he's tough to beat. All he has to do is get a little bit of a breath, and he's tough to beat.
Now, you were telling me you were trying to get him into an Arkansas bred race, but now he's not going to be eligible for it.
Correct. This race was a tightener, actually. I was hoping for second or third in here, and then January the 5th his actual race is. But now he's not eligible for that, but we'll take it.
Yeah, you'll take the money. Now, I mean, sky's the limit with some of these Arkansas bred races now, right?
Yes, that's correct. And just hopefully we can find an open lounge race for him, and then he'll run back in the race he won last year, down the Dusty Road. He'll run in that race. Or no, the no double. I'm sorry, the no double.
The no double.
Yeah.
And your first time starter that ran third, how did he come back?
She came back excellent. They said that she came back really good, and I was real proud of her too. She learned a lot today. She relaxed a little bit, and she's just a little nervous in the paddock, and hopefully we can correct that.
Well, Tommy Vance gets it done, and Bohemian Bo was giant today.
You bet. Yeah, you hear those fractions. You're not supposed to be able to finish going that fast against this kind of group, too, against open company, off the bench. This was huge.
Yeah, off the layoff, too, right? To be able to take that kind of heat. I thought that would do him in. Obviously, Tommy Vance had him ready. I mean, it really, we focus so much on jockeys because they're the most visible member of the team. But when trainers have one ready to fire like this, we got to give him all the props.
Absolutely do.
Bohemian Bo off the long layoff with an impressive victory. Best win of this one's career, and sounds like going to try and go back-to-back against State Bred Company, as we saw him do at the last meet. 10th at Oaklawn to close it out, $7,500 claiming race, 2-turn mile. And Cozy, my boy, outside right now, the one to beat on the board. Christian Torres will look to add another one here.
Christian Torres, always one of the leading riders, gets an outside draw. You got it done from the rail. These races, to me, are just such handicapping conundrums. I honestly, I feel a bit lost when, 2-turn mile, short run of that turn, lower level horses, different jurisdictions. I'm going to lean on you and Paul for this.
Oh, good luck to you. I'll be leaning on Paul for this one. He has a better feel for some of these races than I do with his familiarity at Oaklawn.
Yeah, we'll get back to him in a little bit, get his thoughts on that. We got some sad news to report in the sport. 1999 Belmont Stakes winner Lemon Drop Kid has passed away at the age of 28 at Lane's End Farm. He was a champion older horse of 2000, in part because of this performance in the Whitney, but he had a massive pedigree from the get-go, makes son of French champ King Mambo, who also stood at Lane's End, by the way, and produced from Charming Lassie, who was a half-sister to a Grade 3 winner and eventual Broodmare of the Year, Weekend Surprise.
He tipped his hand early on as a 2-year-old in shorter races showing good speed, that he had a pedigree that said he was always going to want to go further, but one characteristic all good horses share is that they possess speed. It's how they learn to use that speed. And in his second start, when he broke his maiden, I was second to him on a horse named Arrested for John Kimmel. And John Kimmel was upset, thought we should have beaten him. It took Arrested another 6 or 7 months to break his maiden, and Lemon Drop Kid went on to do pretty good things. So, John, if you're out there watching, we had no excuse that day.
It was not Mick's fault. Pretty impressive middle of that campaign that he had in 2000. We put together 4 graded stakes wins.
What a pedigree. Wow.
Yeah, and really able to have a lasting impact on the sport as a stallion. I mean, he's had plenty of graded stakes winners from his progeny. Richard's Kid, 2-time winner of the Pacific Classic, and so much versatility as a stallion as well, with Beach Patrol, Lemons Forever, Somali Lemonade, so many horses that were really proficient on dirt and turf, long, shorter, just a horse that has had a lasting impact on the sport from what he did on the racetrack as well as what he's produced going forwards.
Lost a good one, who has left quite an impact in this game too. It included, was great at stud, but Lemons Forever.
Kentucky Oaks winner.
And some very good ones.
Also as a broodmare sire too, right? His daughter's going on to be producers. And
Forever Unbridled.
But it makes sense. Look at the depth of that pedigree. And I think when we talk about horses that make their mark in the breeding shed and certainly going on generations as broodmares and sires of sires, you want to see that pedigree. You go back, it's either the Farishes or the Phippses or, the Whitneys, the Vanderbilts. These are the depth of pedigrees that you see that really become successful and make a mark on the breed.
passes away at the age of 28. What a good one. It was the older horse of the year back in 2000. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to look ahead to more of these lucrative New York Stakes coming up over the weekend. The New York Stallion Series, Fifth Avenue Division, Boston's Finest. Could it be her day in the Fifth Avenue at 7 furlongs? We'll have a preview next.
Sequel New York Stallion Honest Mischief is sired by 4-time champion General Sire Into Mischief, and 3 of his half-siblings are stakes winners. The sire of his dam is Triple Crown winner Seattle Slew, and her dam is the Blue Hen Mare Tussaud. Honest Mischief's female family is a proven sire-producing family, including Empire Maker and Chester House. Honest Mischief showed both precociousness and speed in a career that saw him earn a career-high buyer figure of 112. And the stallion manager hopes Honest Mischief also passes along his good mind.
I do think he's going to become a great stallion. You know, he has all the right aspects to it. You know, he's a very well-balanced horse. You know, he's a decent size. I think if he can pass that along, he should produce some pretty nice horses.
For more information on the New York Thoroughbred Breeding and Development Fund, go to nybreds.com. You should want to learn more about it if you're involved in this sport, because just look at the purses we have coming up this weekend in these New York Stallion Series races. $500,000 in each of these races for 2-year-olds, including this Fifth Avenue, the 9th race on the Saturday card, 3:35 Eastern start time. And we talked about Boston Finest going to break for Chad Brown, start number 2. Broke through, got that maiden win, and then was second in the Maid of the Mist against the very talented With the Angels.
This horse has some ability, running second to With the Angels, who is the top New York bred filly. 2-year-old as of right now, no disgrace in doing so, and actually cutting back a little bit in distance for this one. Shown that she can handle the 6 furlongs, has run well, going a mile, and won't have this main competitor to deal with in this spot. Though we do have a lot of up-and-comers and potentially some other horses that would be forward in here, could help set up for her closing kick.
It was not disgraced by With the Angels, who is very, very talented. Made a run at her, took a big shot at her, just came up second best. I don't see any With the Angels lining up against her tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Stone Smuggler tried to do it being forwardly placed in this key sense. Bam's Bliss Kiss would wind up 4th, Diesel Rock 5th.
And we'll see the rematch of those three. And With the Angels continues to be the common denominator in these races, showing a new dimension in here, able to rate from off the pace, as we saw the ones that we will be seeing tomorrow in the New York Stallion Series have some forward position. Stone Smuggler working well coming into this spot, seems like the one of those three to beat, but it's sort of a blanket finish between those few horses who round out 3rd, 4th, and 5th in this spot, and all of them likely to be forward.
And then you have Mischief Lady. She took a huge move forward in her 3rd career start and able to hit Princess Mischief in this spot as well when she broke her maiden back in late October.
And it was her first time getting onto a fast main track, a horse that did start on the turf, then tried a stakes over at Finger Lakes that was won by Stone Smuggler, and that was a sloppy sealed surface. Another one that was doing things comfortably on the front end and might have to adapt some of that running style to be able to be successful coming up tomorrow. But the horse running onto your screen, Princess Mischief, she could appreciate a little bit more pace and a little bit more of a competitive forward scenario coming into this spot.
Especially getting another furlong to work with, right? 7/8 of a mile. And what you had to appreciate with Mischief Lady, who won this race, she was getting leaned on hard by the filly outside of her, and she didn't blink. And a lot of times young horses will get a little intimidated, and I like that she was just focused on her task at hand. To me, that shows a level of courage that I like.
It's coming up, race 9, 3:35 Eastern on our Saturday coverage. That Great White Way and 5th Avenue. Talk about lucrative stakes for these youngsters. You just want to be part of the action in there to get a piece of that pie. We've got the nightcap still coming up for this 10th here at Oaklawn, 7,500. Claiming race, 2-turn mile ahead. Few scratches near with the 1, the 2, and the 5 coming out right now. It's still Cozy, my boy, who's favored from that outside post. We start with the 3 who inherits the rail, Asset Basis, whose last 2 on dirt makes this one a contender.
Yeah, gets back off the turf. We've been more proficient on dirt.
Here's Cool Memory, Steve and Keith Asmussen.
Very consistent numbers over the last 4 starts at Remington. He's hit the board in all 4 of those races, and one of them was a win 2 starts ago.
Colosi, a 9-year-old who's won 10 times.
He needs a little bit of a pace setup, but he tends to outrun his odds and has run very good numbers right here at Oaklawn.
Mr. Thunderstruck, 5-time winner.
Yeah, taking a lot of money and has races certainly good enough to be competitive here, but I just don't like 0 for 13 at Oaklawn.
Out running at double-digit odds.
Stretching back out in distance after a couple of sprint tries. One was a win 3 starts ago over a wet track at Canterbury.
This comes in from Delta, and we talk about this circuit. They come in from all over. Here's from FanDuel in the last start. First, Manley, Bealia.
Yeah, horse that just has absolutely no speed, so he's going to have to work out a trip coming from off the pace.
Bealia, excuse me, 8-time winner. Ahead of the game. This one off since late September for Scott Becker.
Should be a pace factor. This one likes to be forward and does get a 7-pound apprentice aboard, which could help his cause.
Had back-to-back wins at Hawthorne and then just was 3rd as that streak ended. And here's the favorite at 2-1.
Yeah, certainly a horse that has the ability to win here, but what a terrible draw. Are you comfortable as a favorite from that post with such a short run of the first turn?
Not quite as bad, right? It's post 8. This has a little bit of tactical speed. We haven't even turned the page to 2025. We already have a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Turf for next year. Coming up on our program tomorrow with the most important race in all of South America in this Gran Premio Carlos Pellegrini.
And that turf course looked awesome. I just would like to be on one and let him sail down that stretch. But big field and really interesting race. And we got Forrest Gump in there. Run, Forrest, run.
We had the winner of this race last year showed up in this year's Breeders' Cup Turf. Now it's a win and you're in, and it's important in South America. It's the first time these 3-year-olds meet older horses.
And always an important step forward, regardless of where that's taking place, something that we see later on in the 3-year-old season right here in the U.S. And being able to take that step up and face older company, it says a lot about what kind of quality of horse you have moving forwards into next year, especially with this being a win and you're in.
Well, and in actuality, 2 3-year-olds taking on olders in the Southern Hemisphere, right? Their breeding season is opposite of ours. They're born in the fall of the year. So these are still actually early 3-year-olds taking on elders.
It's a great point.
2 minutes away from the 10th as we get set to close things out. And Hot Springs still favorite. Cozy, my boy, outside. Paulie, what's your take on the favorite?
Well, I think that he's the one to beat for sure. We'll start with the 7 in here, Mr. Thunderstruck. If you like the altitude angle, this horse has been running up in Colorado at Arapahoe Park in some small stakes races, and sometimes those horses now dropping down for the 7,500. You know, this horse had run some decent races, but like Mick said, 0 for 13 here at Oaklawn Park. Tough to get aboard, but you know, with the shortened of the field with the 3 scratches, you know, maybe the 7 is a player in here. The 10 ahead of the game for Scotty Becker. You know, he runs a lot of his horses at FanDuel, but you know, this horse had some success at Hawthorne. And it seems like the horses from Hawthorne have come in here and have ran well. You get a bug boy aboard for Scott, so I would think this horse is going to push the envelope and try to go towards the front end in here. Now, I landed on the 11, Cozy, my boy, and we're going to show you his last race. You know, this was off a layoff, and Freddie Manrique was aboard. I get they went slowish fractions, but what I like the most is Enzo Athletics reclaims this horse for $5,000, gives this horse to Abel Ramirez Rodriguez. I thought this horse actually was very, very game in winning this race. I'm with Mig. I was very concerned when he drew the 11 hole to the short wire. But now drawing in the 8, like you said, Greg, I think that he can maybe, you know, doesn't have a ton of speed that he can stay within tack. And Christian Torres has a win with him aboard. If you go look at his races outside the race at Saratoga on the slop, he's in the 70 buyer land consistently, and I think he's just the one to beat in here at 2-1.
Yeah, just run those kind of numbers. You know, Remington last time out at Churchill, at Oaklawn. This horse shows up. We'll see. Christian Torres obviously knows going in he's got some work to do out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the only question mark. He's obviously a horse that is the horse to beat. I just would have preferred if he had an inside draw, but he probably would be an even shorter price, Sarah, if he had an inside draw.
Yeah, I think that's completely possible, and it seems to be playing out to fruition, as Norm Cassie said to Paul before the last race, that speed is doing well today, as we saw in the race last with Bohemian Boat, really taking things to a whole nother level on the front end, and maybe whoever gets the lead in this spot could show up in a big way. But I do think that Cozy, my boy, does present a major threat towards the outside, a horse with plenty of early speed, but another one with some speed is right to his inside and ahead of the game, who does have that 7-pound break in the weights going out for Scott Becker, who doesn't have the best record at Oaklawn per se, but has a high win percentage overall, 23% over the past year, though not necessarily at this racetrack. When you see that break in the weights at a level like this, do you think that there's some intention to be forward, Richie?
Yeah, I think a lot of trainers like to employ apprentices on horses that they want to show speed because there's less decisions that have to be made, and you just make it, you know, easy for them. I want you to go to the lead. Take advantage of that weight break.
2-1 favorite, Cozy, my boy. Meanwhile, from the inside, asset basis, a couple of dirt starts at Louisiana Downs, broken up by some turf starts, but the dirt races, that form puts this horse in the mix, 8-1 right now from the inside.
I think it's a classic example of when a horse's form is a bit dirtied up because of not being on the proper surface. Another horse, though, that's 0 for 8 at Oaklawn. Maybe I'm putting too much into that, but it's something I look at. Even though I picked the 0 for 13 horse at Oaklawn and Mr. Thunderstruck because he won me over in the post parade.
He looked really good, Mr. Thunderstruck the 7. Yeah, warming up. He certainly won the warm-ups, no question. But the favorite remains outside. Keep your eyes on Christian Torres. Cozy, my boy, can he try and save some ground with that first turn coming up fairly quick here in this 1 mile setup at Oaklawn? Finale on the Friday card from Hot Springs. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Ahead of the game. And they're off, and a bad stumble at the break for number 10 ahead of the game. The jockey Joe Romero lost the irons. They're back in place, but after that, ahead of the game would need to do something special to win this one. They go into the first turn. Asset bases hit the rail going into the first turn, so a couple of problems here for a couple of runners. We come to the lead here. Cozy, my boy, the favorite, up to tackle the front runner, Mr. Thunderstruck, who strides to a head lead midway on the first turn. Cozy, my boy, they're on the outside to press the issue. A gap of 2 to Cool Memory is eased off the pace. Asset bases gets off the fence and is clearly third with Cool Memory approaching the backstretch. Another 2 lengths to Colosi, then Bialia side by side ahead of the game alongside, and a gap of 2 to outrun him, who has been outrun in the early part. 9 lengths from first to last as they're halfway home in the nightcap. Remember, this race will end at the 16th pole. The leader is Mr. Thunderstruck, 3/4 of a length ahead. Cozy, my boy, right behind, has got no excuses. Cool Memory stays on the rail and saves ground around the far turn run. Colosi is in the 2 path sent along, but not keeping pace. Ahead of the game is also right there, attempting to battle on after the disastrous beginning, and the others have got to pick it up as they round the far turn. Mr. Thunderstruck, a neck in front. Cozy, my boy's right there. Cozy, my boy, strides to the front. Mr. Thunderstruck behind in second as Cozy, my boy, opens up the lead to a length. Mr. Thunderstruck second, Cool Memory third, furlong to go. Cozy, my boy, with a narrow lead. Mr. Thunderstruck to the inside challenging, but Cozy, my boy, inches away. A hat trick for Christian Torres. Cozy, my boy, takes the nightcap. Mr. Thunderstruck was second, third across the line, Cool Memory, and Asset Bases edged out Bialia for the 4th spot.
Cozy, my boy, with the win, and this was a strange situation. Wins from even further out than he was supposed to with the scratches in here. They left the gate empty with the 8, so everyone outside of that one got pushed out a little bit. The 11 wound up breaking outside of where the 11 should have broken from. Take a look at it here, and made life a little more difficult from the outset. Not sure why that happened.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were experimenting with an auxiliary gate in between here at Oaklawn. It just seems like something a little bit perplexing going on at the start of this race, and then the 10 didn't really get out of the gate all that quickly either, but Cozy, my boy, able to have forward position and win another for Christian Torres.
Yeah, the 10 actually stumbled pretty badly, and it appeared that his rider lost the irons for at least a brief period, and Christian Torres was aggressive, got over, even though he was a little bit wider than anticipated. I wonder if they didn't have a problem with the 8 stall and just decided to, well, instead of getting a new starting gate, let's just leave that gap open. A little bit confusion there.
In the end, battle between the 7 and 11. It goes to Cozy, my boy. Christian Torres with a big Friday afternoon. The favorite takes the nightcap of the prices when we come back.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NyraBets. Open your NyraBets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NyraBets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Productive Friday afternoon for Christian Torres. Takes the nightcap on Cozy My Boy. First off the claim win for this barn.
Yeah, an aggressive ride, and Christian Torres is certainly known for getting his horses into good position. You aren't leading rider multiple times at a meet by accident. He's certainly staking his case for why he is still one of the top jockeys right here at Oaklawn.
Consistently gets his position going forward. Takes nothing away from a horse, and he overcame that outside draw with that aggressive ride. A good effort by the 7, Mr. Thunderstruck, who is now 0 for 14 at Oaklawn, but this was a good effort. And the 4-horse Cool Memory rounds out your try with Keith Asmussen aboard.
So 11-7, 4-3, 2-1 favorite closes out the card with a victory mentioned coming up tomorrow. We have that Mistletoe as the feature. We're going to get to see Taxed, former Black Eyed Susan winner, back in action. It'll be fun to see what she can do.
Yeah, this is a horse that I've always sort of had an affinity for, one that seems to just run well regardless of the company that she's faced, and I'm looking forward to see what she can do second off the layoff.
Yeah, it should be a good, interesting race. I love Oaklawn. They got big fields, a lot of different ways you can go, and if your opinion happens to be good, like yours was today, you get paid.
You usually do.
Meanwhile, these lucrative 2-year-old stakes on the program, these New York Stallion Series races, including the Great White Way on our Saturday coverage. How good do you believe Sacrosanct is? Now 3 for 3, undefeated for Brad Cox.
I think the last race really showed another dimension from him, able to sit just off another horse, deal with a contested pace. He is way the horse to beat going into tomorrow, now cutting back a furlong to go the 7 furlongs and defeating, hopefully, some horses that he's had the ability to defeat in the past.
He beat Bold Fortune making the debut, but that horse really, I mean, that was the debut for Bold Fortune. He's really come on since then.
Yeah, but I think it just speaks to the overall quality of what he's been running against, and he's consistent, right? He's 3 for 3. He shows up.
That's sort of the head-to-head matchup everyone's looking forward to on that Saturday card tomorrow. We hope you join us for it. Cozy My Boy closes out the card at Oaklawn with a win. $6 for the victory. Pick 5, just over $1,600. We'll see you on FS1 tomorrow. So check your local listings for it. We're excited about it. Terrific card. Begins at 3 Eastern start time. Caldwell Loves Gold multiple stakes winner picks up a victory against Open Company on a 3-win day for Manny Franco. Bohemian Bow, Arkansas bred, off a long layoff, blazing fast early under Christian Torres, able to finish late. And speaking of Manny Franco, he'll be back on board Sacrosanct, trying to stay perfect for trainer Brad Cox in that Great White Way. We'll see you tomorrow.